We're gathered here today to discuss a topic of human trafficking, which is one of the most pressing humanitarian challenges of our times. Now, before I begin, I would like to ask the participants as to how many of you have actually dealt with human trafficking cases or dealt with human trafficking victims. You can just raise your hands. Great, okay, 1, 2, 3. So, although it is one of the most challenging issues of our times, I don't know whether to say fortunately or unfortunately, in Sikkim we hardly have any cases of human trafficking. And it is not that people are not being trafficked. So to understand this issue, let us go to understanding what is human trafficking itself. Human trafficking, we say, trafficking in persons, modern day slavery. You see, do you mind if I move around a little bit? Okay. So these are interchangeable terms, alright. However, we say modern day trafficking, trafficking in persons, but this started way back in the 16th century when the Portuguese first went to Africa. You know about the traders, no? How they used to sail the seas. And when they first went to Africa, they saw the Africans, very vulnerable societies. What they did was they started taking these people to Europe, different parts of America, different parts of Europe, and that is how the slave trade started. It continued for almost 350 years until Britain finally abolished slavery, alright? So the black slave trade gradually gave way to white slave trade. Have you heard of this term, anybody? White slave trade involved trading of white persons from European countries who were immigrants. Because of the poverty, because of the economic condition of their, some of the European countries at that time were very, very economically underdeveloped. So what happened was, certain other countries took advantage of this situation and then they started exporting the whites, especially women, workers, immigrants, very vulnerable, so they exploited these people and then the white trade started. And gradually this has continued, although slave trade is abolished, it is continuing till our time. So, till today. So, these are figures of human trafficking globally, alright? Is it visible to everybody? You have exploitation. These are figures of 2020 from the United Nations. We could not get recent figures because it's so fast growing, alright? Anyway, so you have forced labor, major portion of trafficked persons. Then you have trafficking for sexual exploitation, second largest group. Then you have trafficking, mixed forms of trafficking, alright, various crimes and criminal activity. And then you have trafficking in forced marriages. Now this is an area, especially in India, which is fast growing, because of the disparity in gender in some of the states. Some very vulnerable areas, especially the bordering areas and tribal areas, girls are being exported in mass to these other states where they have almost no women, so they're being forced into marriages. So forced marriages is a rising area. Then you have adoption. We could not even imagine some years ago that newborn children could be trafficked. But this is another area which is fast growing. Traffickers have found this is an area they can exploit. You're finding new fields where they can export people, alright? So forget adults, even newborn children are not spared. Then you have organ theft. So many, there's a large majority of persons, and although it is only 0.2 right now, it is also fast growing. And India is not only a source, because we have very vulnerable societies, vulnerable sections, tribals, border areas, we have poverty, isn't it? Then it's also a destination. From Nepal, Bangladesh, neighboring countries, it's a destination. Then it is also a transit point through India. So India is a hot spot for trafficking. And it is not that Sikkim, we say, oh, in Sikkim it doesn't matter, we have only 3 persons who have been dealing with trafficking. I don't have any cases of human trafficking. Although I'm like supposed to be speaking on the subject, to be very honest, I don't have a single case. But that does not mean there is no trafficking. Alright? So, why do you think it is so? Why do you think we have such few cases of trafficking? We have so many NGOs, but from my first question, I find that not a single NGO has actually dealt with victims of trafficking. Is that true? Yes. Why do you think this is so? Exactly, not reported. Why do you think it's not reported? See, this is, please remember that this is a session where I'm not trying to teach any of you, because you are colleagues, you are all my colleagues, we are learning from each other. The NGOs, they have far more experience than us in dealing with victims, alright? So, this is a learning process. I will learn from you, I will respond from your responses. Alright, so why do you think it's not reported? Sorry? Exactly, one of the reasons may be social stigma.
The organized crime.
It's an organized crime, okay, but why is it not reported? It's an organized crime. Human trafficking is today, after drugs, one of the most lucrative, biggest money is in drugs and trafficking. Most organized. Like you've correctly said, it's an organized crime. It's not like just offhand crime. Huge global organizations are working at it. So why do you think it's not reported?
Probably because some people, they willingly go for the money.
Yes, willingly go for the money. Now that is also one of the issues. There are various misconceptions, confusion about human trafficking and identification of victims. So before you go into dealing with a human trafficking case, we have to understand who is a victim of human trafficking, isn't it? Because, like you said, the person has gone for money. So some of the misconceptions are that the victim consented. How can it be trafficking or kidnapping? The victim it's not forced marriage. The victim is a legally wedded wife. Look, we have a registered marriage. How can it be trafficking? Drug peddling, he was caught with drug peddling, but he's a trafficker. No, he profited. He was peddling for his own gain. This child was caught begging. No, the parents sent him for begging. The child ran away from home. Prostitution. They were free to go. They were freely consenting to this trade. Where is the trafficking? So there are so many layers where there's a lot of confusion. POXO. The victim online they met. Child may be 18, but she met him online, willingly went. The person, many of you POXO judges, you have cases where you've said the accused was not even here. The victim herself went to Siliguri. From there, they went to some other place. After she goes missing, the parents reported, isn't it? So where is the trafficking? It's a case of POXO, isn't it? But, so that is why it's very important for you, when you are dealing with these kind of cases, to identify your witnesses, identify your victims. somebody is brought before you for drug peddling, if you look at the charge sheet properly, you might find that perhaps he might be a victim of trafficking. Somebody is produced before you as an illegal migrant. But when you really study your charge sheet, you might find that he was a person who was trafficked for labor. So there are various layers. So as the judicial officer is concerned, it is for you to be little alert about these things while you frame charge. I won't go more into it because I think Madam Sonia will cover some of the procedures. Similarly now, although it was only last night that I came to know some NGOs are also here, so I will try to, it was more for the legal fraternity, but as NGOs equally applicable. At the time of rescue, during raids and rescues, normally they go with NGOs, they take the help of NGOs because NGOs are, I don't know if there are any police personnel here, but far more effective than the police. It is an admitted position, isn't it? So when they round up, police what they do? They round up groups of people. Drug peddlers, they will produce him as an accused. Prostitution, she was soliciting, produced as an accused, isn't it? He's an illegal migrant, produced and accused. The NGOs might not be able to also identify them as victims. You may help them as an accused. So that is why from the time of their rescue till the time of trial, it is very important for all of us because we are all stakeholders in this. And even the police, I don't think there are any police personnel here, but from the police, the judiciary, the NGOs, civil societies, all of us must learn, number one, to identify your victims. So who can be a victim of trafficking? So it is very interesting that until 2003 I think, the term victim did not even figure in any of our acts. It was only later that it was included in section 2AA. Do you have your CRPC, anybody? Would anybody like to volunteer to read that out? 2AA. Now, of course, the section has changed under the, I will not use the long term because it's such a mouthful, BNSS 2023, it's 2Y. So you can read 2A, you have the old section. Would anybody like to read it out?
A victim means a person who has suffered any loss or injury caused by reason of the act or omission for which the accused person has been charged, and the expression victim includes his or her guardian or legal heir.
Okay, so at least now you have a definition which says who is a victim, alright? That apart, okay, we've already gone into this. We have section 370 of the CRPC, which is now 143 of the BNSS 23, alright? Interestingly, again, till 2013, human trafficking was not even a crime in the sense that it was not defined. It came under the term of slavery. Such an obsolete term, don't you think? So, when they realized this, the legislation, they amended the section, and now section 370, they have tried to make it very exhaustive. It's a huge umbrella under which all the misconceptions that we talked about, victim consented, victim afe goyo, all that they have tried to address this. And so now under section 370 it says any person, it defines the offense of trafficking of a person or a child as any person who is exploited, recruited, transported, transferred, harbored, received, or is put in any form of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or inducement, including giving or receiving of payments or benefits in order to achieve the consent of person having control. So basically what it does is, huge umbrella is cast. So even if you're transferred, even somebody has received, you may not be the trafficker, but in India, like I said, it's a transit point. You receive, then later you send. That person can also be an accused. Somebody who was transferred, somebody took the person till Siliguri, he is also an accused. Somebody coerced, somebody threatened, somebody, it's not necessary that that human trafficker has to be the one exploiting. You can be part of all this. See, you could have recruited. How am I accused? How am I accused? I only told her, you want a job, you want to go to Delhi, you want to work in a massage parlor, it's so much more lucrative. That is the normal scene, isn't it? You want to be a sales girl. I only recruited, I didn't even recruit for human trafficking. I did not know, I just sent her till Delhi. I just helped her get her tickets, or I just told her these are the job options. So anybody who recruits, who transports, here I would like to share share a case. I will not share the details because it's pending, but a POXO case comes before you, alright? This person is taking the girl, but found to be an underage girl due to a very vigilant, driver, taxi driver, and vigilant, I'm very proud to say, our border police. While checking the vehicle, they find that, they ask, the girl seems a little drowsy, so they ask what is wrong, and then the fellow who is the accused at the moment, who is from, say, West Bengal, says, who is she? She's my sister. But the girl is from one of the tribal communities, so you can imagine, will look nothing like the sister of somebody from West Bengal, isn't it? So because they are so alert, they stop them, rescue the child in time, and of course, eventually the charge sheet came under POXO. Now, would it be only under POXO? What do you think? At the time of framing of charge, there are so many other details which I cannot discuss, but prima facie, the accused overhears, I'm bringing another one. Have you put the money in my account? What do you think? Prima facie, it could be a case of human trafficking, isn't it? Maybe later, if the evidence comes, it might not stand the section, but what you can do at that stage is frame a charge. Because 370 says, sorry, 370 says transportation, recruiting, these are things which you can bring out during trial, okay? See? So these are circumstances where as judges you can be alert, NGOs you can be alert. If you find that there is a POXO victim, if you find that kata sundai gyo भने मलाई त यस्तो पारा लग्यो फाल्नाले मलाई यस्तो भनेको थियो, he had promised me this inducement, isn't it? Or they told me if I if I don't go with him to such and such place, they will reveal all my whatever pictures online, things like that. So many circumstances you can think of. So it is for you to be alert to identification of your victim first and foremost. Alright. Then we come to what would be exploitation. Our general impression of human trafficking is what? For prostitution, South East ma pathaidyo, right? Begging ko लागि नानीहरु पठाइदियो, isn't it? So exploitation need not only be sexual exploitation. It can be physical exploitation of any kind, sexual exploitation, servitude, slavery, or forced removal of organs. Now you have other factors also. You have for adoption, children, infants for adoption, then you have organ removal, forced marriages and things like that. So, we were talking about misconception. Now, a very, very important part of section 370 is this explanation. Would you all take the time to read it? So, the misconception that, oh, victim afega go. Victim herself said, okay, she's ready for marriage, ready to go with the accused. That consent, you know, in POCSO, it is consent is no consent, or even for minors, but under section 370, even if the victim is an adult, the consent is immaterial. So there is where you will find recourse to identification of your victims. Now, no more confusion, isn't it? NGOs also. If they say that, if the accused says, no, victim afai aako, victim lai ta maile paisa dieko thyo, isn't it? Victim was free to go. It will not matter if it is found that the victim was exploited. Exploited how? Exploited in various forms, all of which is provided in your section 370. So we are clear now about how you would identify your victims? Yeah? Okay. Now, so under the broadened umbrella, a victim of trafficking can be one who is a kidnapping case outside. It could so easily be a case of human trafficking. It could be for fraud. Somebody was duped, isn't it? Exploitation, slavery, again same thing, isn't it? So now these are the other relevant sections in the new act after July which you can look into apart from section 370, alright? Because in the future these are the sections which you will be referring to, and this will go to the NGOs also. If you are interested, you can look at these sections and you will find that these are applicable, especially for PPs. Now when you're arguing at the time of your framing of charge, you can say, you can study your material and you can say that, oh, it might be attracted, isn't it? So, now apart from these sections, even the Constitution way back then had provided safeguards against human trafficking. And of course you can always read this, I'll just quickly go through it. It prohibits human trafficking. Then Article 39 ordains that health and strength of individuals are not abused. No one is forced by economic necessity. Then the childhood. So you see, they were so far-sighted. These things will cover what? Human trafficking, organ removal, forced marriages, child labor, begging. All these things are actually even protected under these sections. Can you see? Health, strength. At that time, who was to know that a human being will be, an organ can be stolen from a human being's body, isn't it? But they were so far-sighted that they even have, I was surprised to find these articles. And this is very interesting. Article 39F, childhood and youth should be protected against exploitation. Can you imagine? Against child labor, against begging, make sure that children are protected. We have a section like, article like that. So these are all the safeguards that are provided against trafficking. Then, now, these are the various acts. We say human trafficking is a basket of crimes. You cannot isolate a case of human trafficking because a human trafficking case will might involve immoral Traffic Prevention Act, POCSO, child marriage, bonded labor, child labor, transplantation of human organs, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, juvenile justice, IT, money laundering. Why, you might say, why the SC/ST Act? Because a large portion of the trafficked victims are from vulnerable societies, isn't it? They are from all the border areas, tribal areas. Why IT Act? Everybody knows. Half the trafficking is now online. Money laundering, why? Huge amounts are being exchanged globally. Huge business is going on. POXO automatically, isn't it? So and bonded labor or child labor. So when you are framing your charges, these are the other acts that you could look into, all right, for making sure that you start covering the accused under the net, at least bring him under the net, not necessarily that he has to be convicted, but at least at the initial stages you must make an informed effort. You must be vigilant that he does not. Of course, there's always a provision where you can add your sections later, but these are the other acts you can bear in mind. Okay, fine. If trafficking is within Sikkim, okay, what if it is interstate or intrastate or interstate or inter-country? I think many of my colleagues, we've faced several problems, isn't it, when the accused is outside or when the evidence is outside. For outside, normally for us, it's which country? Nepal, isn't it? I'll share one experience with you. It was a murder trial and it was quite a gruesome murder. The IO was very vigilant, I was very smart. He identified the accused, he got everything done, but the accused had to cross the border. And it was such a pity because I did everything, he worked so hard, but at the Nepal border, the accused was on the other side having tea, I believe. Drinking tea and looking at the accused, at the IO. What can he do? He can't cross the border, no? So what can you do? What can you do as judges if you have evidence that you need from outside? Or if your accused is outside? Say, ma'am, will you be sharing that case fact or? Okay, ma'am will later share a case fact with you. If the accused is transported to a foreign country, what are the solutions for you? For NGOs, for judicial officers, what will you do? What can you do? Any idea? PPs.
There is guideline of the MHA.
Thank you. I've circulated this. I think it's in the handouts. All right. Guidelines are there, but before you go to the guidelines, what must you do? You have a provision in your act, okay? In the BNSS now, it's actually section 66A. I will not go into the details because you can always read it, all right? So it deals with transfer of evidence from another country, 188. When the offense is committed outside India, when you want to receive evidence, then, so what can you do? These sections are there, so how do you go about implementing it? You have to send a letter of request or a letter regulatory. You have two options, and then you have MLAT. MLAT means Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty. Now, in the handouts that I have given, these are the guidelines. For MLAT, the ministry has issued certain guidelines which if you read, if you're ever faced with this problem in your courts or while dealing with your victims, you can resort to these guidelines. It will really help you, all right? Letter of request which you sent, basically, when we say letter regulatory, no, it is a very simple term. It simply means seeking information. It's a Latin term which says seeking information. So, any criminal court may issue a letter of request. If you find that you're faced with a human trafficking case where you need such evidence or an accused, you can issue a letter of regulatory. But the IO cannot request for the issue of a letter of regulatory without the Ministry of Home Affairs. Naturally, you cannot be communicating on your own with some other country, isn't it? There are certain procedures to be followed, there are certain guidelines to be followed. Nobody is going to entertain your letter. Oh, madam, District Judge, Special Court from West Sikkim, South Sikkim has sent us a letter. We better send the evidence. No, they're not going to entertain it unless it has the central concurrence. So there are procedures to be followed. There are certain formats. They have a template also. You need not rack your brains as to what to write, how to write. Even the template is there. All right? Because that is what happens, isn't it? Normally, oh, what should it contain? What is it supposed to reflect? Isn't it? So, then other than that, this is just, I just put it for your information, because when you say letter of request, there are two sides. One is criminal, one is civil. And so under the Hague Convention, you can send it in cases of civil matters also. Alright? But here we are concentrating on human trafficking, so going back to it. Now, for obtaining this is, I thought because there was some police personnel, but unfortunately they are not there still. This is for your information, alright? So what to do? We are talking about concurrence. How to get the concurrence. So these are things that the IO will have to make sure that he seeks, alright? It has to contain all this. Here we don't have, I think Directorate of Prosecution is set up now. Still under process, no, of being set up, I think. So you still have Home Department then, all right? So the statement of witnesses and things like that. So we've covered more or less the first part of my session, okay. Now coming to the second part. You've identified your victims, fine. NGOs have rescued, police have raided, NGOs have rescued, everybody knows who is the victim, you have brought the victim, now the victim is before you. Now comes your role as trauma-informed judges. Because the victims, when they come into contact with the NGOs, the police, and finally the courts, this is the first time that the victim is interacting with the justice administration system. Now when such a person is brought before you, for you it is like any other number in your docket, in your cause list. So many accused, so many victims, so many witnesses for the day. Number 1, 2, 3, next, we go, no? Isn't it? Okay. But you must remember that this victim is somebody who is traumatized, who has been abused, exploited. Victim need not, if it's a child, you will say, "Ibzar nani resa," of a lady, immediately, okay, because of her gender, you might be sympathetic. What if it is somebody from Bihar who is produced before you, looking at you like this? Big, tall man from Bihar. आपको केस लगाइदियो उसलाई बिस्तारै गरिदिनु हैन उसको विटनेस एक्जामिनेसन बिस्तारै गरिदिनु. This person might be a trafficked person who was the head of his family, whose self-esteem has been brought down to the ground, to the dust. He thinks nothing of himself. He is totally destroyed morally, maybe physically because he was in bonded labor. So this is why it is very important for us when it is a human trafficking case. Fellow might look hale and hearty, kidney must be gone from inside. How are you to know whether he has a long stitch on his under his shirt or not until the evidence is heard, isn't it? So when a trafficking victim is brought before you, you have to be a sensitized judge, you have to be trauma-informed, you have to be sympathetic. And this will go for the NGOs also. When such a person is brought before you, equally important. But you must be sensitive towards your treatment of such victims of human trafficking. Okay? So, now how do we become sensitized? How do we become victim friendly? We start with this is for the courts, of course the police are not here, so with the police station for POXO victims, child victims, and thereafter we as courts are infrastructure. Then you go to the VWDC, I'll come to that later, and then are adopting how we actually interact with the victim when we record the evidence. Now, infrastructure. We have to now move away from the traditional concept of courts. I will not ask my colleagues, I will not ask the prosecutors, NGOs, one of you, supposing you are not, many of you might have gone to the courts. Who has not been to the court? Court ko janubhako chaina? Hands up, गर्नुस् त. Okay, very good. We have one person at least. तपाईलाई मैले जब सोध्दाखेरि court कचहरी भन्दाखेरि what is your first reaction? Why I'll ask you is when I say beach, what is your reaction? Tell me, what do you think when I say beach? Wow, sunny, sandy beaches, sunglasses, nice cool drink. I know, happy picture. तपाईलाई court भन्दा what do you think? What comes to your mind? के सोच्नुहुन्छ? First reaction. Random. Lawyer.
Arguing between two.
त्यो जग्गा, what do you think of the place?
Picture movie
हैन, तपाईले सुन्दाखेरि चाहिँ what do you picturize in your mind?
झगडा भइरहेकोले
अनि
disputes.
Not a happy picture, no?
Yeah.
Court kachari. First reaction is that, isn't it? Everybody's. What do you find in court kachari? Jagreluharu, murderers, rapists, druggists, peddler. Not the most positive people, not the people you would want to hang around with daily, isn't it? That is the general impression. And when you go to a court also, what do you see? Black gowns, white band, kalo coat, everybody looking so serious, police people with guns all around. It is not a normal atmosphere, isn't it, the environment? What do you think? Even our attire is so archaic, it's so... I know, British time go. People flapping around in gowns like Draculas. So can you imagine when a witness who has never been to the court, who is from maybe a village in Nepal or a bichara farm in Bihar or from Jammu or Khechiperi ko alaichi bari dekhi liera aako naniharu ya adult, what is the impression? What do you think? Very intimidating. Exactly. It's an intimidating atmosphere. I will give you an example. I think Madam Sonia is fed up of hearing my example because I often like to use this example. I had a murder trial, okay? And the victim, a few days before the murder, had gone to the bank, had signed something before the bank official. So the IO correctly listed the concerned bank official as a witness. Former witness, and of course it was a lady official, alright, smart young lady. Her examination barely took, what, 15-20 minutes. Did he come? Did he sign this? Yes. Did he sign it in front of you? Yes. Is this his passbook? Yes. Okay, fine. Go. No. Defense also, hardly any cross-examination. What is there to cross-examine, isn't it? Gone. What I heard after the examination is interesting. This I got to know much later from the staff, so this is why I use it in this presentation. When the summons went to the lady in the bank, what was the first reaction? I'm sure everybody will know. Court बाट summons. म गए मुन्दिन. भाइलाई पठाए मुन्दैन. Some other person from the bank. Normal reaction, isn't it? And they said, no, madam. तपाईकै signature छ. तपाईकै सामनेमा the victim had come, so you have to go. So she said, okay, very reluctantly. Now the whole night the lady tossed and turned. Why? She had a sleepless night. Why? The murderer will be there in the courtroom. What if I say something wrong and judge passes an order against me? What if what I say sends him behind bars for life? What if I'm not able to give my statement? Normal things, these are the things that will play in the mind of a witness. For us, it is just another witness in our docket, isn't it? But for a formal witness also, if she has gone through this, can you imagine? And not only that, for moral support, she brings her husband, who is also a government servant, who had to take leave for that day and sit the whole day in the courtroom till her deposition was over. Now this is the plight and the reaction of a normal witness. So now you can well imagine what will be the condition of a victim who is sexually exploited, who has been trafficked, whose organs have been sold, who's been made to work like a slave, like an animal. He's been sold like cattle, bakra, guy just to bechi sakyo, like not treated as a human being. Can you imagine his condition? So this is why it is so important for us to be victim friendly, and this is not only for human trafficking cases, it will be applicable to you in all kinds of cases. So this is a very general thing, even for the NGOs also, alright, when you deal with. So that is why the Honorable Supreme Court, now the concept is changing. Now we have to be victim friendly, okay? So we've discussed why victim friendly courts, isn't it? Sorry. Now, from the witnesses also we come to vulnerable witnesses. Now anybody would like to say who would be a vulnerable witness? Anyone? You can just off the rack. Just say, who is a vulnerable witness according to you, Mr. Banna?
Ma'am, somebody who's a victim only, somebody who's been exploited.
Okay, victim who's been exploited. Anybody from the NGOs? Who do you think would be a vulnerable witness? Vulnerable. What do you understand by a vulnerable witness? Anyone? Anyone can say anything off the rack. Very good. Children, somebody who's exploited.
Witness with disability.
Very good, witness with disabilities, isn't it? So apart from just witnesses, now we also have vulnerable witness. When I started my career way back, like Madam said in 95, there was no such term as a vulnerable witness. Okay, everybody was either a victim or a witness. I mean, you know, there's no such thing as a vulnerable witness. But now, vulnerable witness has been defined. And this was defined why? I think Mr. Karma will be well aware of these guidelines because it came out during your tenure, I think, as Registrar General. The guidelines, I have put this for Sikkim because normally I do not put these when I do the programs in other cases because it's based on the guidelines, orders of the Supreme Court in Smriti Thakuram Badade versus. You need not write it down because I've given handouts of all these citations. So don't bother, alright? All these citations are there. In 2002, the Honorable Supreme Court issued directions who will be vulnerable witnesses and what the courts must do to be victim friendly. And that is why, based on those directions, the Honorable, I'm very proud to say that Sikkim High Court is very quick on the take, and you know, we have so many things in place unlike many other states. This is what I have learned, okay? So, sorry, we are still there. Various guidelines, our guidelines, you'll be very impressed. If you go through it, you'll see lot of details have been given there. So a vulnerable witness can be, like you said, a child, a POXO victim, a victim of rape, somebody who is disabled, okay? And this is, and in Mahendra Chawla's case, also given in the handouts, it is also a victim who has a certain threat perception. Threat perception, there's a witness who adores her to come to the court, okay? The witness is scared to come to the court, maybe scared of the rapist, maybe scared of the human trafficker, isn't it? maybe scared of the accused because accused is a very influential person, isn't it? Based on the threat perception, it says any witness deemed to have a threat perception and our guidelines, there's a wonderful clause here that says any other witness deemed to be vulnerable by the concerned courts, including family courts, children's court, juvenile justice, and any other criminal courts. Now, if you feel, for example, I will take the example of our hurly-burly bhaiya from Bihar, who is a trafficked person, not disabled, not sexually exploited, isn't it? But if you feel that he is vulnerable, in your opinion, if you deem fit, he can be considered a vulnerable witness. If you feel that he's scared, threat perception, that oh, he's scared that the accused is there and they're very influential, they have a big network, you can consider him vulnerable witness. It need not be that he should be blind or maimed or So you can turn to these guidelines again for who would you consider a vulnerable witness. And then now you've identified your victim. You now identified the victim also a vulnerable witness, isn't it? So the court infrastructure. Why do I talk about the court infrastructure? Again, once again, because of this Takuram's case, directions were passed to send to all the high courts that all courts must have some area identified for examining these witnesses, where they can feel safe, where they don't feel any kind of discomfort. Now most of our courts are very old structures. Not every court has the advantage of being able to provide that space. Although in Sikkim, I think most of us now have it in place. I don't know, do you have it in place?
Not inaugurated yet.
Not yet inaugurated, but wonderful that it is underway. I think same for South also. East, I know they already have. West, I'm very proud to say you were one of the first to inaugurate our centers, and all of you have visited that, right? So, anyways, this was the prototype, just giving the background, this was the prototype that was circulated by the Honorable Supreme Court through the High Courts Building Committee to all the courts. And what we have tried to do, it has certain specifications. It gives like a lot of, even a psychologist room that we don't have, and we didn't have the space, so many of us, I don't think we have it, right? But of course, you have a psychologist room?
We have.
Okay, wonderful. So you have the litigants room. Basically, the infrastructure provides a comfortable space for the victim, where the victim will not feel conscious, threatened, discomfort, alright? And it says you have to have a separate entry so that the victim will not feel embarrassed coming to the court. Now this is the main entry of the additional court building in West. Some of you have been there. This is the separate entry. To make this entry, we had to break down the wall of the annex building of the SLSA, and then from here we have made an entry for the victims, and this is the entry for the other litigants, alright? Then from here, okay, this is the same thing, another angle, this is the entry. Inside this door we have the waiting room. Now they put a lot, buildings department over enthusiastic, they went and plastered the walls with all child friendly motifs, no matter still. The parties who come here, they're very comfortable, they don't feel like they're in a courtroom. Okay, that is the first impression. Then we have an attached bathroom to this, and just next to that is the deposition room. Here it had to look a little bit more serious because we need the technology, isn't it? We need the mic, we need the screen, we needed a desk. So this is an actual victim who was deposing. Now you must be thinking, oh, everything can be seen here, but this is a one-way glass. The person walking outside cannot see anything inside. But the victim sitting inside will not feel claustrophobic. There's enough light. Okay. Now this is a sexually rape victim, basically. Actually, she was a rape victim being examined. and this is the courtroom on the other side. So the victim is on the other side of the wall. So victim does not see the lawyer, does not see the judge, does not see the peshkar, does not see the computer. So victim is quite comfortable. And let me tell you, I'll just give you the bird's eye view. This is the courtroom, this is the victim's room, and here is the accused. We've made a separate entrance for the accused also, just in case one, and this is again one-way glass for the accused. Accused can see everything on the screen, hear everything over here. Okay? So let me tell you share my personal experience with you. I have started when we did not have infrastructure like this. Earlier, we used to have the accused in one corner of the room and the victim in one corner of the room, and the other side of the room. And when it was children, when it was a grown-up woman, an adult, knowing that the accused is there in the courtroom was enough to intimidate the victim, a witness. Forget them being a victim, even a witness, like the bank manager I talked to you about, just knowing that the accused is in the courtroom. They feel so scared, only half the story comes out. You are not going to get a full deposition, full and truthful, because they are so scared, they get inhibited. Mane, आधा कुरा भित्रै बस्छ डरले. And if you are a sexually exploited victim, largely, isn't it? But when they are alone like this, now I have seen the change. I think many of you will have witnessed the change. They are so comfortable. And when they forget they've said something, they would like, oh, by the way, I would want to add something more. I forgot to say this. This is the change that we are seeing. So it is very important the victim feels comfortable. It is very important that the victim feels confident and feels that, yes, this is where I know I can say something and I'm safe. My interest is safeguarded and my privacy is safeguarded. I'm not conscious that people will say, oh, Bhalna ta rape victim ho, Bhalna ta she's trafficked. Isn't it? They will not feel this embarrassment. And when you are comfortable, what happens? You shed your inhibitions. You become more open, your story comes out, and you are able to take out the truth from the victim. Maybe the accused person in the dock is not the actual accused person, or maybe he is the accused person and he has done all the things that he is being accused of. He has committed the crime. So what that does is, it helps the justice administration system and you to give a proper finding, isn't it? So this is the importance of having all this infrastructure. Otherwise you might say, what's there in a courtroom? Try and garem ta ni bhanihalcha ni. Gareko ho pani haina bhayihalcha ta, haina? But all these things, factors do play a part. All right. So now, okay. You have the victim, you have the infrastructure, you have identified the victim as a, vulnerable witness. Now, this is the time you will be coming into direct contact with the victim. Now, this is for the judges, but for the NGOs, I would like you to apply what I say when you come into contact with the victim during rescue, or when the victims are brought to your centers, when you are interacting, because this is equally applicable to you. Adopting victim-friendly procedures. Now I'm saying trauma-informed judges, but we are all human beings. We have to be empathetic, sympathetic, isn't it? Understanding towards such persons. And when we respond to these persons, we have to be able to convey that sense of security for them or confidence for them. Because this is their first phase interaction with the justice administration system. So the methods you use, the procedures you adopt. Now, tapaiharulai equally, you please apply it, alright? And your reaction to the victims are very important. I will confess, while doing POXO cases, because of the docket, isn't it? Because of your, especially in East, this happened in East. So many cases for the day, now you're then the victim, oh my god, victim takes so long, you know, no? And especially what victim? Child victim. What kind of victim? On top of that, a specially abled victim. Now the evidence is going to take forever. And you have so many other witnesses. So what is your reaction? Sorry. I'm guilty of being impatient at that time. I was very impatient with one victim. I was like, no, very छोटो गर्नु नानी, छोटो गर्न अरु witness पनि छ. Hurry up. That was not sympathetic of me, that was not empathetic, that was a wrong response, isn't it? That was not a procedure I should have adopted, which I later realized. You know, no matter what, you have to be patient with these people. It's very taxing on the judges. So my advice to you is, if you have victims, arrange your docket for the day accordingly. Cause Lisman, do not keep cases where you know it's going to take time, and when you have especially abled victims, you have to give them time. So now, all of you are very experienced, including the NGOs, the judges. Maybe we can help, the senior judges can help some of the junior judges who will be recording 164 victims. You might not be directly dealing with cases under special courts or human trafficking because it's Sessions Tribal. But what are some of the, let's share some of the victim-friendly responses that you adopt in your court. Mr. Kashmir, and anybody for that matter. Do not feel like, oh my God, I have to answer this now. Okay. What, would you like to share some experiences, Mr. Karma, or anybody? Anyone can say. Yes, please.
I usually do this pre-trial, which the Honorable High Court has given us. So in that,
Wonderful.
This pre-trial which we do, I think we all have been doing this pre-trial.
Mm-hmm.
And in that session, what I usually do is I call the learned PP, the learned defense counsel, and the victim. It'll be in my chamber, and it'll
Very
be
good.
just a ice-breaking session.
Wonderful.
I will not talk about the case with the victim. I will just ask her general questions, just speak to her, make sure that she does not have any kind of fear, and at the same time, to make her aware that she is, we are there for her, and she's entitled for a support person. And then I introduce her to the learned people.
Wonderful, Mr. Chamita. So that is exactly what we need to do. What other methods can we? Somehow we can all try to follow what she does. Anyone else? Anyone else? Even the NGOs can say otherwise. Anyone else, Miss Governor? Anything you adopt need not be as per rules.
No, when I was the magistrate and I was recording the 164 statements, especially POXO victims who are like 3 years old, 4 years old, up to like 6 years old, they would be very reluctant to speak up. So I used to call them to the chamber,
Yes.
and I'd actually kept balloons and sweets for them. So I would just like give them, make them feel comfortable, just keep them there while I get my other work done. Then once they feel they're ready to speak up, then they would give the statement. Because especially 3-year-old, 4-year-olds, very difficult for us to make them speak and tell us exactly what happened.
Anyone else would want to share experiences? So anyways, all of you at some point are adopting victim-friendly procedures, isn't it? So, again, same thing. How can you be an effective trauma-informed when examining human trafficking victims? It is how we are going to interact, all right? Now, in the compilation, there is a handout which says victim-friendly procedures, all right? There are numerous victim-friendly procedures which is also laid down in our Sikkim High Court guidelines that I talked to you about, that notification. You will find that it is there. The number one thing is that, like Madam said, I have listed there, courthouse tour. Now, this is where, as NGOs, your role comes into play. The victim is with you in your homes, isn't it? What you can do is, I talked about how the infrastructure can be so daunting, isn't it? That tension victims are lying, adults, even if they are adults. So what you can do is, you can bring them for a courthouse tour. I know it will be a little demanding on your time, but you can depute somebody, there is one, and you send them to the court that where they might have to go and give evidence. Courthouse tour, because the courts are aware of this. So the courts will have staff deputed who will take them around. This is the courtroom where this is your victim witness center. See, it's a nice, comfortable space. This is the judge. Go and meet Madam, like how Madam Samita does court ice-breaking session. So this is the PP's room. PP's, you all can meet the victim. Not to tutor, of course, but see, this is the person who will be asking you questions, if children, not directly, but through the court, isn't it? And things like that. So once you're familiar with a place, your first barrier at least is easily crossed. You're not new to the place. Then thereafter, you have, when the case actually happens, it's in camera. It's an in-camera trial, isn't it? Especially for sexual offense victims and things like that. These are the methods. I will not go into each and everything, but some of the significant things that you can do is, if it is a child and not able to specify body parts, this will go for the NGOs and the police personnel also. You can use dolls, you can use human figures. Now I think many of us have started adopting this method, isn't it? You can use drawings. Other than that, sometimes you have slightly some witnesses or victims who are very traumatized. You can have support persons. If they speak a different language, Bangladesh ko, we've had this problem before. I don't know, whose court was it? Somebody was from Bangladesh. Nobody knew what language she was speaking, one lady. Eventually it turned out that she was from a very, was it from your home? I'm not sure. She was from a very remote area in Bangladesh where they spoke a different dialect of Bengali. So you can use translators, at least somebody who can understand a little bit of that language. You can use special educators, support person, anybody that the victim is friendly with or secure with the victim, a family member or member from the NGO. And these are methods that you can adopt. Or you can use comfort items. Children, sometimes they want a certain toy or certain object with them all the time, or a certain piece of cloth, that gives them that sense of security. Allow them to have that. Give them frequent breaks. Don't push them like I did. I was guilty of at one point. Give them frequent breaks, offer them water, make the situation light and comfortable, where once they are comfortable, then they are able to depose. Then of course, you can use live link, isn't it? Like we are doing now in our centers. Now I think it's more or less all these things are in place. We call them testimonial aids. Use speakers, you use your live link, you use all these infrastructure and things like that. The waiting room. Now when you're questioning PPs and for defense, as judges you have to be very proactive. Sometimes what happens with a long cross-examination, we tend to start signing other documents which our staff keep trying to push in between our cases, isn't it? Madam, look at the urgence, Be alert. Don't allow questions which will embarrass your witness or which casts aspirations on the victim's character or demeans the witness. Hey, you're an adult male. How can you have been trafficked? Don't allow them to put questions which will demean the witness. They will start shrinking. They will start closing up. They will not be open. So here you have to be a little proactive and and of course child witnesses, all of you know, all questions must be put through the court, isn't it? These are, I don't have to tell you all are very experienced in that, and then protecting the privacy of the witnesses, the victims, isn't it? Things like that. And apart from all this, these are the normal procedures that most of you are already adopting. But for the NGOs also, make sure that when you talk about your cases, often what happens, press answer, you must remember that you have to protect, your duty bound to protect the victim ko identity. Naam, pata, Naksa, not at all. You may give details of the case such as east rape boyo, a child was involved, but no address. Nothing which we might be able to identify the victim, or people can guess, oh, yo po raisa, tyahan ko raisa, usko po chori raisa, haina? Bhagna po raisa. You must protect that identity of the person, all right, the victim. Then of course, then speedy trials. If there are many accused persons, one has absconded, what happens? Trial tends to drag on, isn't it? So try to bifurcate the cases of the absconding, which you are already doing, and expedite the trial. And a very important thing, do not make the questions repetitive. Sometimes lawyers, what they tend to do is, with due apologies to the PPs, questions are repetitive. Me, I just put my foot down. I say, no, this is already covered in such and such, move on. You know? And sometimes defense, what they do is they adopt it as a tactic. Same question in 5 different forms. You as the judge, you have to put your foot down. You have to be proactive. You have to say, no, it's already done. Don't get repetitive, because when there is repetition, what happens? Possibility that the testimony might change. Then the victim will get confused. Isn't it? So these are small things that you can do. And apart from all this, these are all ways and means of protecting the victim, but you also have something else to your aid, and that is the victim protection scheme. Most countries have, like India also, we have the victim protection scheme. And this scheme also says all these things, in-camera trial, privacy, all that. But other than that, I think this was also circulated, no? Victim protection scheme. It is there. If you look at section 7, there is a list of orders that you can. It's all at your disposal, judges. You can pass any of these orders. It is not necessary that these orders have to be passed only by the court also. If the NGOs feel that. Now, one thing you must remember, protection orders are based on threat perception. Mane victim like kati ko dor cha, kati ko danger cha. त्यो degree ko basis ma you can pass protective orders. It can be a simple thing like थाना बाट एकजना मान्छे पठाइदिनुस् न पेट्रोलिङ गर्नको लागि in the area, outside a home or outside the child's home or in the neighborhood, as simple as that. Or put CCTVs. Or you can go to the courts, and it is not that the court only has to pass these orders. If the police feel that there's immediate danger, then the police can act. Otherwise, you have to get these orders from the courts, alright? So, if you go to your witness protection orders, witness protection scheme, you will see about simple things like patrolling to very extreme things like when the threat perception is really dangerous, high threat perception, the victim might get killed also, or assaulted, door by a victim, like. Then you can give full protection, and sometimes in this, I don't know if in India it happens much, but in America what they do is they totally relocate the victim. They change the identity. In very extreme cases, they have done facial changes also. Entire families have been taken and protected to a different area, total, from their social security numbers to everything has been changed. You'll see in the movies also, no? Many of you might have seen this in the movies. But this is what they're doing, basically. And this is there for you also, but I don't think we need to resort to such extreme conditions. But there are so many other. A simple thing like you can send an escort. Home dekhi court samay escort pathaidinu. These are small orders you can pass based on the threat perception, isn't it? Or bring them in a protected, escorted gari or things like that, you know. Because it says, witnesses often turn hostile, isn't it? They are there, they've been protected, they've been rescued, everything is there, they are ready, they've done the house court tour, everything. Like one of our colleagues, Mr. Manoj, who was actually one of the resource persons who was supposed to come here, but for whatever reasons he was unable to attend finally. He had a case where human trafficking victim gave full deposition, I believe, in the court. Everything, all the ingredients I was taken like this happened, that happened, this was my exploitation, everything. Finally, what did the victim say? But he's not the person. What do you do? Court is helpless, isn't it? Now we don't know whether the victim was somehow reached or a family was threatened. The victim has turned hostile. Not hostile completely because she has said what she has had to say, but the accused is going to go scot-free, isn't it? So there are ways and means of protecting. It's not just for the victim alone that you can give protection orders. You can give protection orders for the families also. But again, I stress, based on the threat perception. Victim like katiko danger sa, katiko dor sa. All right. So why the necessity for protection of a witness during such a trial? Because otherwise they turn hostile. The perpetrators will go scot-free, and then what happens? This organized crime keeps growing. There's no way of curbing it. We just become a farce. The stakeholders are just sweating it out for nothing, isn't it? So once you're able to get a full testimony, usko full statement, truthful statement, sabai bayan fully linu sakyo bhane चाहिँ what can the court do? Court can pass orders, conviction, order of conviction. Once you convict, and once, apart from that, there are other sections also under which you can pass protective orders, but immoral trafficking ko hardly nowadays any cases come, isn't it? So this is the method under which you can, or magistrates can suo motu also, alright, under 17(4) of this act. And okay, so you've examined the victim, you've adopted all the friendly procedures, now, before this, I will ask you, then you found that the victim is ekdamai traumatized, isn't it? Not necessarily an HT victim, it can be a victim of rape, it can be a victim of, POXO, isn't it? So the victimization is at various levels. It is at a social level. Why? Because you're cut off from the mainstream, you're stigmatized. There are hundreds of cases, especially of girls in Nepal. The poverty is so severe in some areas that they have been, out of choice, they have come to the cities where eventually they are trafficked. But they are in red light areas, they are not willing to go back. Why? Because of stigmatization, isn't it? And dealing with the social stigma when rehabilitated. Now we will say, as judges, look, you have been stigmatized, as you have been rescued, now you can go back home. Do they want to go back home? Most of those who are sexually exploited cannot go back home. What about health hazards? Somebody has lost a kidney, organs. If you're sexually exploited, most of them have socially transmitted diseases, isn't it? Health is gone. Then you have economic impact. They have no income. Bichara, the head of the family who went out to get a better living for his, to provide for his family, went out in search of better jobs, was made a slave, bonded labor. He has zero earnings. What do you do? And mostly they are excluded from the mainstream, isn't it? And their mental, afno esteem, self-esteem, it is rock bottom. We say rock bottom. They are nothing. They think of themselves as nothing, so they are mentally totally demolished. Okay, they are at the lowest. So this is the impact of trafficking, and so why? So the importance of rehabilitation. Now here, These are the you've finished your cases, you've examined, you've adopted all the methods, look, you've got a full testimonial, you've even convicted, you're very satisfied. NGOs, your job is over? No. The police, your job is, PPs, your job is over. Your job is over? Trial judges, your job is over. Your trial is over. Your trial is over. Examined, conviction, boy, I know. Or, okay, what do you call it? Innocent person was made the accused. Real accused is elsewhere. So you have given justice. You have acquitted the accused. Look. Your job is over? Over? No. Why is it not over? Tell me.
We still have to think about the rehabilitation of the victim.
You have to think about the rehabilitation of the victim. Like he says, their job is not over. NGOs, civil societies, their job is not over. Yes, maybe PP's job is over. But I will ask you a question. Now, as a judge who has conducted the trial, can you be involved in the rehabilitation? Is it your job to rehabilitate the victim? They will be involved in the rehabilitation because they are civil societies. Can you be involved?
As the member of the District Legal Services Authority, we can say.
Thank you. Yes, as a member of the District Legal Services Authority. Very good. That is one. Then apart from that, what can you do? Very good. Wonderful. So, post-trial challenges. So, because you have to address the rehabilitation at various levels, physical, emotional, economic, and you're a court, you cannot be directly involved because that is not our job, isn't it? That is the job of the state, which is supposed to be a welfare state, and of course with the help of civil societies. But what you can do, and which the law empowers you to do, is, like Madam said, compensation. You said compensation, but again I will ask you a question. Here, you can give compensation to a POXO victim, okay, because the victim is a child. Child like you can give. Sexually exploited woman like you can give. Isn't it? But what of the other categories? Can you give it to them? Anyone? Can you give them compensation? Rape victim, somebody who is a bonded labor. Again, I will take our Bihar ko Bhaiya ko example. Will he get compensation? Can you give him compensation?
As long as it fits into the definition of victim under the CRPC, we can give him.
Under which provision will you give?
This,
Compensation. He is defined as a victim. Yes, he is the victim. You have done. You have examined him. You have adopted all the procedures.
because our
Victim protection scheme also says we have to read the definition as per the CRPC. Victim is defined there as well.
Victim protection scheme. No, he is defined as a victim.
Victim as well.
Victim compensation scheme. Okay, is there you are saying. You are talking about the victim compensation scheme. Victim compensation scheme, what can you give? You have for POXO, you have for murderers, for murder, rape, assault. And then of course under these schemes, under these sections you have to give compensation to victims under this. Yes, but I would like to draw your attention to, I don't know if this is circulated, but in Sikkim, because I apply this to Sikkim, okay? We have our own victim compensation scheme, isn't it? Now in the scheme, and this is amended recently in 21, no? You're using the 21 schedule, all right? Schedule provides for compensation for loss of life. Somebody has died, the family can get. Gang rape, you can get if you're a victim of gang rape. If you're a victim of rape, you can get. Unnatural assault, you can get. But our HT victims, our victim from Bihar, bonded labor will not fall under this, isn't it? So, loss of limb, okay, so in the course of their human trafficking, if they lost a limb, maybe. But what if they have not lost a limb? No, will not fall under this category also, isn't it? Then, but you can go to 9. It says there are different categories: loss of limb, loss of this, loss of that. There is an interesting category here. It says grievous physical injury or any mental injury requiring rehabilitation. Now this, I feel, is one category where you can use your discretion as the presiding officer, and if you find that the victim is traumatized and you find that the victim needs rehabilitation because he or she is mentally so disturbed, that you can grant compensation under this, and it is 2 lakhs. Alright? Now this is where you can resort to, this is the provision you can resort to if you feel that the victim needs rehabilitation. And now NGOs, you can request PPs, you can take up this. HT case ko ho bhane, maybe not a rape, maybe not all this, but you can go through this and say, we request the court. If the court is not aware about this, you can bring it out to the court. You can tell the victims, you can apply for this, seek compensation for the rehabilitation. It will be easier for you also if the victim has some financial aid to get the victim rehabilitated, isn't it? Or what do you think? Victim financial aid from the anywhere. Morally so low, if they have little bit money in the pocket, even as students, how did we feel? Go to the bazaar, eat, loaf, especially when you are in college. Though if you don't have money in your pocket, what do? You sit in your room quietly, isn't it? Everybody has gone through. So at a much larger scale, at an emotional level, imagine if the victim feels that justice has been given to me and the court has granted also something to me to help me start my life afresh, maybe not enough, but at least something. That spark of hope and confidence comes, and your rehabilitation process can begin. And you as stakeholders can have a hand in it as judges. Alright? Now, other than that, I have a handout where I have laid out various government schemes. Like you said, no, DLSA, we are not helpless judicial officers. You can always send your order to the SLSA or to the DLSA, and many of you are chairpersons of DLSA. You can ask orders directly, isn't it? And how can you do that? You'll direct social welfare, no? How do you do that? Why are you supposed to do that?
Through DLSA.
Through DLSA, no? Why I say you can do this is also because as recently as in October 23, the Honorable Supreme Court I've quoted this also, State of Rajasthan versus Gautam. Now this was a case where a child victim was involved. Now the court has observed that compensation be given, but monetary compensation alone, is it enough? Obviously we have all know that just getting money in your pocket is not enough. It's not going to suddenly elevate the victim's mental well-being, isn't it? You may have this big fat amount in the bank, but you can still be suffering from depression as a result of your trafficking, isn't it? So monetary compensation alone is not enough, is what the Honorable Court says, and it says the duty is on the state. It is the duty of the state, because we are a welfare state. It is the duty of the state to make sure that they get rehabilitation. And in this case, what they have done is, for example, in this case, the child was a girl child. So, under the scheme, Beti Bachao, Beti Parao, they directed the state, make sure that she is put in ICDS or some other school. Other steps that you can take, with the help of NGOs. Now the courts, at the stage of rehabilitation, the courts cannot act alone. The courts, in fact, cannot act. You have to rely on through the DLSA, and you have to rely on the civil societies. This is where you have a major role to play. Your role, time of rescue, Even during trial, to help the victim come and go to the court, to make them feel safe, and especially after the trial, usko rehabilitation ma. Not necessarily after, throughout, till the victim is rehabilitated, you have a vital role to play. So here, you can help with making the Aadhaar cards. Illegal migrant ho bhane, ya bonded laborers ho bhane, they have no documents, can make their cards, help them get Aadhaar card, write their petitions, apply. You can get them compensation, you can open bank accounts for them. These are many of the steps that you can take, make sure that they get psychiatric help, counseling. I think some of the homes I think have visiting counselors, no? Psychiatrists on the other homes there. Yeah. So this is how many of you can help. You can be hands-on. Alright? And then other than that, there are many schemes which to be very honest, even I didn't know about until I had to study for this. During our Prague and Federal Justice program, I had to find out in India what can we do apart from compensation. And much to my surprise, I found that apart from Section 57 and the compensation scheme, the DMs have under the SC/ST Act, there is a provision where they can make arrangements for immediate relief in cash. You can apply to the DCs under this SC section. You can turn to the handout. I've given an entire list. This is very helpful for NGOs. And even as the judges, you can tell them, you can tell your PPs, you can advise them, you can apply under this to the DMs. Bonded labor ko lagi. What if bonded laborers come? There is a different scheme for them of 20,000 cash for trafficked persons. Alright? Then MC Mehta says that 20,000 per child is to be paid by the employer if found indulging in child labor. Then again, child prohibition ma, then there Sarva Shiksha, like I said, in Gautam's case, they said under these schemes, get the pass orders. Say if the child needs education, tell the department, education department, social welfare department through DLSA, SLSA, get the child education. So I will not waste further time on this. I have given you an entire list. These are things that you can do. And apart from that, we have since we are talking about DLSA, the NALSA scheme. There's a separate scheme for trafficked persons. What can you do under the scheme? DLSA with the support of the concerned department could facilitate so and so and so and so. It says, so these are things that you can resort to. Even the NGOs, you can go to the DLSA because you know DLSA, so you can approach your DLSA chairperson, secretary, the staff. DLSA, help us. This vulnerable witness compensation can this witness get anything? All right, through SLSA, DLSA, until the person is rehabilitated, because it is our bounden duties as members of society, the society, and as stakeholders of the justice administration system. Now we have to work in coordination with NGOs. So these are the things that you can do, and I did not have any of the names of the NGOs until last night only. I came to know there are some NGOs, but these are some of the NGOs that have continuously been working with human trafficking in other parts of India. Now, exercise. This is a fun part, okay? What are your comments on this picture? Anything you can say, just your comments. So what do you think of this? I've been talking, so now, what do you have to say? Excellent observation. Court is not concerned, is not interested in the court like some of us looking at order sign, at the side, no. Cross-examination, what you think? This is just a picture I put for the fun part. Okay. What else? What is not observant? What is not interested?
It's not an ideal environment.
Yeah.
And he's finding video.
Exactly. It is the accused who is comfortable in the courtroom. I know. Then what else? Very good observations. What else? You can speak freely. We are all colleagues here. You can speak freely. One was the peepees. What do you think? What was I talking about all this while?
Ma'am, it's not an ideal environment as was
Why?
the victim, because the victim is there and the accused is in the same place.
Same room, okay. The victim is not separated.
She wanted to say,
Look at the victim's expression.
Distressed.
Victim is not comfortable. It is the victim who is embarrassed, intimidated. And look,
Presiding
okay, so
officer-
this is, Raju?
The presiding officer is also already asleep.
Presiding officer is not interested.
He is asleep.
खड्का साहब उता हेर्नु हुँदैछ हैन? Okay. Similarly over here, isn't it? Defense is laughing, smiling, isn't it? Victim is intimidated. Victim is in the same courtroom. Victim is in the, now this is an obsolete picture. Victim is standing in the docket. Let us imagine this is a vulnerable witness examination. Victim is uileko jastai standing in the docket. That zamana is gone now. Victim has to be comfortable, isn't it? Victim has to be engaging ko jasto witness, vulnerable witness center, isn't it? Okay, what about this picture? Because all of you know about protective measures. What is right and what is wrong in this picture?
children are not supposed to be brought to the police station.
Hmm?
Children are not supposed to be in the police station.
Very good observation. Uniform. Okay, lady police. Fine. That is right. What is wrong is she's in uniform. And then what else? Child is intimidated. Where is this?
And the police station.
At the thana. Should not be at the thana, isn't it? It should be where? Juvenile, come on. Juvenile just. Where the child is comfortable, at the place of either child's home or any other place where the child is comfortable, maybe in your CWCs or homes, anywhere, but not here. What else?
Time.
After sunset, you cannot keep children in the
Excellent, excellent. This is a trick picture. I've just put the time as 7:30. Children should not be there, isn't it? Women after sundown should not be in the thana. These are small, small details that you have to bear in mind.
And ma'am, and angry police lady.
Exactly, angry police lady. Your demeanor towards the victim, your interaction, your reactions, what we are talking about, isn't it? All these other police people with the dantas, it's in the police station, very intimidating, not only for a child, but even for an adult, isn't it? Okay, so now this is a quiz. What do you think is the right answer? NGOs also. In a case of human trafficking where several women have been sexually abused, the investigating agencies and the press should disclose some details of the crime but not of the victims. Answer is A? Okay, correct answer. I don't know how to press this. Okay, anyways, yeah. Correct answer is A. Next. Let me see your responses. How many of you agree? Oh, sorry, what happened? B. Correct. Next. Now we are talking about a vulnerable witness, especially able to know. Oof. A, okay. Then next. This is very easy. We don't even have to answer this, I think, isn't it? What is it? New magistrates?
B.
Yeah, B. So, child victim. This will go for magistrates also. B. Through the court, okay? Never directly. Human trafficking, sexually abused.
Camera.
Yes, always in camera, alright? Sexual offences means in camera. This one? Should not be dressed in uniform but in civil attire. You have child protection officers. C, oh sorry, C. Oh, oh, the answer was given. So here it is a victim of robbery, isn't it? And then, okay, this, what do you have to say? What is the answer? Yeah. So it is not necessary that this is for the NGOs also. Ab compensation ko lagi, if you find that the victim is ekdamai traumatized and needs rehabilitation, you don't have to wait till the case is over. During pendency also tapaile apply garnu sakनुहुन्छ, or the court on its own also you are supposed to grant, isn't it? And it is not necessary that the accused has to be convicted. Oh, guilty छ भने मात्रै compensation पाउँछ भनेर पनि छैन. If you feel, that the victim is traumatized, needs rehabilitation, accused को केसै लागेन लो, we acquitted the accused, but for the victim you can grant compensation, which I think many of us have done, isn't it? Even if they are acquitted, we have granted compensation. If of course in appeal it is upheld, they will get it. But even the Honorable High Courts also, in such cases, they have said victim like grant compensation. So, okay, here.
C.
See, yes, because based on the threat perception, you will have to deem now what is fit, alright, what kind of order you need to pass. And for that, there's a certain procedure. If you go through the scheme, you will see how you can pass these orders. I think a committee is there, headed by the district judge, alright. So, that is the end of the topic. But before I do that, I want to share some statistics, because when I began I said it is such an alarming crime, isn't it? The magnitude, now you've understood the magnitude of this offense, the crime. It's so organized, so lucrative, and the figures that we have are very not very outdated, still a few years ago, but even as we speak, what the Crime Bureau says, every 8 minutes a child in India disappears. So from the time I began till now, you can gauge for yourself how many children have gone missing, how many people have been trafficked. And in 10% of the trafficking in India is international, and 90% of it is within India itself. Alright, then as far back as in 1998, 5,000 and 7,000 Nepalese girls between the age of 9 to 10 were trafficked into red light areas in India. And more than 250,000 Nepalese girls and women are already in Indian brothels. In 98, can you imagine what is the condition? So when, and these women, the huge category of these victims, they do not want to go back. So we should not insist that they be sent home. You can find out other means. You can, through again DLSAs, you can go and NGOs who are like with social development department, skill development. There are, teach them something so that they don't have to go back to the village. Village go when you tell me what will happen if they go back to the village. Apart from stigmatization, usko mentally he or she will be ekdamai mentally down. Other than that, nothing. Okay, stigmatization, ostracized. No life skills, no earning, go back to the same poverty, if not worse. She'll become like an achut. She'll become an untouchable. Oh, India then what happens? She will go back like, she will say, I would rather stay in a red light area in India where I can at least send some money back to my family. So the secondary re-victimization will continue. That is why when we insist that these kind of persons be sent back home, you have to be very careful. What is the home condition? Poverty, economic, social, whatever. Or was it the family who pushed her back, pushed her into this trading? Sometimes because of poverty, it's the families who sell. So this background check, say, it is for the NGOs to find out from the victim. Because otherwise, all that exercise, rescue, trial, compensation, it will be useless. Because she will be put back in the same environment that led her to this victimization. So with that, I come to the end. And how much time do I have? It's okay. Where is the film? There's a short clip of victimization. Can you? So you can all see that before we break for lunch, or was it? And
शहर से दूर एक बस्ती ने अपनी माँ, बाबा, बहनों और भाइयों के साथ दुनिया से बेखबर ये मीठी सी आवाज रीना की है। गाने की मिठास कुछ ऐसी कि सबका मन मोह ले, दीवाना कर दे।
रीना, तू कितना अच्छा गाती है। कितना अच्छा हो ना कि तू एक दिन टीवी पर गाए और मैं सबको बताऊं कि ये जो गा रही है ना, मेरी सबसे पक्की सहेली है।
लोग तारीफ कर रहे थे और रीना मुस्कुराकर झूले पर झूलती हुई।
Coming to my session, which talks about case management and law and procedure. We all must have just gone through this vibrant session of Madam Chuki. So we'll come to the case laws, case procedure, and how to conduct the cases in the court. Worthy Director, Judicial Academy of Sikkim, judicial officers present here, prosecuting officers and police officials if any, and persons from various NGOs. That is the beautiful part of this this session, that we are having some of persons from NGOs also. That's going to be the great help to this session. So I really thank you, welcome to this session, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here amongst you. It's really very nice to be amongst you all, to just exchange my thoughts. I'm not here to teach you something, because all the judges are very learned and very senior judges, and we all have been going through this case management in our respective courts. So this is something which we will be interacting, and maybe I am carrying away this place with the beautiful practices which you are having, good practices which you are having in this part of the country, and maybe I am able to share the best practices which I am having in my part of the country. So Coming to the things, may I know that how many judicial officers are here? Can you please raise your hands? Great. And prosecution, from police, your ma'am, may I know? Your good name and? Great. Oh, that's really great. You will be helping us a lot with the basic things. And from NGOs? Very good. That's going to really help us. So, I really extend a warm welcome to all the esteemed participants, which I consider all of us are the members of this judicial family, to this significant program focused on the challenging aspect of human trafficking cases. It is undeniable that human trafficking is a global issue which is of immense sensitivity, a pressing concern in contemporary times. I believe that many of us in our respective roles have encountered this issue in one form or another as part of our routine responsibilities. Maybe most of us may not be having such cases, never have dealt with the cases, but as Madam Chukhi has said, that having not taken up with cases does not mean that we are not having these issues. We are having, but maybe they are going unreported or untraced. We are not able to trace the missing links and many reasons for that. We are here. Our gathering here is a testament to our collective commitment to addressing the issues faced by victims and the formidable obstacles we encounter in the management of such cases. Today, we all aspire not only to dissect these challenges, but also to collaboratively explore viable solutions. How these NGOs who are the front runners, when they come in contact with such like a victim or such like a case, how they will make them to come out with the stories, and how the police officials, they will go for investigations, and how this prosecution will help in connecting the links, and how ultimately the judges, the courts, how will they be able to make these cases to reach to their logical conclusion. So I eagerly anticipate the valuable contribution each of you will bring to our discussions. May I have that? First of all, human trafficking. Madam Chukhi has taken up with the overview of human trafficking. I'll just go through a passing reference. Right, it's a big rising concern. Number of identified human trafficking victims. 2019 we had 5,145. 2020 we had 6,622. 2021 it was 5,934, and 2022 it's 6,500 plus. And how many of them were prosecuted? Number of HT prosecutions? Only 2020 1,714, and 2021 it was 2,189. Now see the disparity. Can we make out these disparities? 2020 we had number of identified victims 5,000. 2020 we had 6,622, and prosecutions were only vis-a-vis 1,714. Similarly, 21 we had approximately 6,000 cases, and matters taken up were hardly 2,000 and 2,200. So why so? Because as already dwelled on the topic, that maybe people don't have that awareness, maybe people don't have that courage to come up, maybe people, they are scared of the social stigma, how they are going to face the world, or maybe they are threatened by the perpetrators of crime. Because as already discussed, human trafficking is not a brainchild of a single person. Like we said in the, we just saw in the video presented by Madam Chukila, it is an organized crime. Many brains, many at different places they are working. So it's very difficult for a victim, rather a survivor, victim who is a survivor, it's very difficult for him or her to come out and speak against the things. And when that victim doesn't get support from the system also, then it's really heartbreaking for the others to come up. So that may be the reason. So anybody else who can say what can be the reasons apart from all this? Anyone? And I'll add to my list for the next session if ever we get an opportunity. Any other reasons? Prosecution or a ma'am from human trafficking? Why don't the cases go reported?
Family involvement. Family involvement.
Yes. Family
involvement.
Family, most of the times, like he was, Sanjoy Dada was the brother of the friend, very close friend of Reena. So maybe one of your immediate family member is involved there. So many times pressure comes, okay, leave it. It's a family matter. हमारी घर की, if you understand Hindi, हमारे घर की इज्जत बाहर चली जाएगी. So many such things. So who is the vulnerable class? As the ma'am has dealt in detail, they are the poor, women, children and tribals. They are the most vulnerable class. Of late, looking into this aspect that human trafficking is really raising alarms amongst the community of the various countries, our advisory has been issued to various registrar generals of all the honorable high courts of India. And recently we got intimation to the judicial academies also to conduct such programs. Why? Because it's not that I'm not having any case in J&K or you're not having any in Sikkim, but J&K, as we all know, we share the boundaries with the various countries that because of many reasons, terrorism, poverty and many such things, drugs, finances growing up in J&K very badly. Whichever district I go, that court is flooded with these drugs related cases. So of late we are seeing just observing a new trend, use of that juvenile persons for commission of few heinous offences. So what is that? Might be it is related to this trafficking only. We have not been able to connect the link to that thing. So maybe it is that. So I am very happy that I think after that advisory to the high courts, Sikkim High Court must be the first one to initiate with this such conference, and me and Madam Barphungpa ma'am, we are part of this conference. As our ma'am she was just saying about our profile, we have gone through extensive training, especially for human trafficking. First of it all started in December 2022 and it culminated, I think, in 23 December. Last of all, when our pilot workshop was in Bhopal. So we had been to US in Parag for all these, and Bhopal also we had various sessions. And first of our session was resource persons were in Kolkata this year, February this year. So it is a growing menace which we all, especially I feel the civilized society, responsible citizens, NGOs, in the shape of NGOs. God is not present everywhere, but God sends the persons, the representatives. So here NGOs are the ones who have to play an active role, because any single step taken by you in this side will really is going to create wonders, because whatever you do, that will come in the police, and police ultimately to prosecution and then to courts. And judge will be able to deliver justice only when all the links are knitted properly. When a court case comes to the court and after going through the trial for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, they quitted. Why? Because there is a missing link. So we all have to see like that. So I'll say something about my session overview. It's an identifying wheel, as judges. Ultimately, it is the onus is on the judges to perform, and we all are performing in our respective courts, be it magistrates, district judges, civil judges. What problems we are facing and how we will try to come out of it is an essence of this session. We'll identify the bottlenecks to the expeditious disposal of trafficking cases. affirm the role of the judge in active case management. We will discuss strategy for overcoming case management challenges, how to do that, calendar management, case management hearings, curbing frivolous adjournments, setting expectations, securing the testimony of victims, witnesses and experts, and using sanctions. We have to apply case management strategies to distributed fact pattern. Also, we have given a fact pattern. I have in my handouts. We have a fact pattern. We will deal with it later on. Don't go into that now. Just a passing reference. Dimensions on trafficking, like trafficking for we have already gone through that. But since I have prepared, trafficking for sexual exploitation, trafficking for labor, then adoption and trafficking, a new trend emerging. Trafficking for human organs, marriage and trafficking, as very nicely explained by Madam Chuki. Trafficking for domestic help, we are not getting the help because we are not working. So unable to manage our home front also. So we need a help. We don't have a help. So that is the trafficking for circus, for camel jockeying, etc. Trafficking for terrorism. Trafficking for drugs also, which I have just forgotten. Anything else? You have something in mind? Please participate. I don't want that my session should go boring. So you should all be very attentive. Thank you. So this is just a small work done by me. Relevant sections which we are related to the human trafficking. Now we are post 1st July 2024 we are going to have this Bharati Nyaya Sanghita. So I try to just make a balance of that, a comparative. Definition and punishment of human trafficking. It is section 370 IPC and section 143 BNS. Exploitation of trafficked persons. It is section 370A IPC and section 144 BNS. Kidnapping for begging is 363A IPC 139 BNS. Kidnapping or abduction or inducement of women for marriage or illicit sexual intercourse is 366 and 87 BNS. Procurement of minor girl for sexual intercourse is 366A and 87 BNS. Selling, buying minor for 372, 373 and 98 and 99 BNS. Habitual dealing in slaves is 371 IPC corresponding to 145 BNS. And unlawful compulsory labor section 374 IPC and section 146 BNS. It's just a passing reference which we'll definitely come across in coming times now. So what made us to go for this case management? Why you think there is a need for going through the case management? It is actually the words of Honorable Justice P. Sathasivam that centrality of a strong justice mechanism lies in its essential contribution in enabling all manner of disputes to be resolved within a structured and orderly framework. It is this lack of managerial skills in the court administration which has attributed to the current increase in pendency rates of cases in courts. These were the words of His Lordships. So, as we know that we are not judged for a single type of a case. We are judged for various types of cases. As a district judge, we are dealing with criminal cases, civil cases, property matters, family matters, bank recovery matters, POXO matters, drugs matters. So how to maintain that? On an average, how many cases you have per day, ma'am? May I know your name and number of cases, please?
I'm Samita. I'm a district in session judge, Namchi district.
Okay.
On an average, on a day in my docket, I have minimum cases of 30.
See, so how you manage 30 cases in a day, 6 hours a day? You have got some administrative work to do as well. You have to perform your duty as a DALSA chairman also, as a mediation coordinator for mediation also. Then how you perform all these things? And when you have these witnesses, you have 6 witnesses in a day, then how to manage? And just imagine you have a human trafficking case also. So how you will manage to justify all the cases? So
It depends.
it depends. So this is what I am going to learn from all of you, and try to share a bit. I have worked on that. Why must judges prioritize human trafficking cases, as we have just discussed? Before that, I have given you a handout one, which says what are the takeaways of this session. Takeaways of this session will be comprehending the complexities and methodologies associated with the adjudication of human trafficking cases, which include analyzing the challenges inherent to human trafficking trials and exploring effective modalities in their prosecution. And second shall be elevating the priority of human trafficking cases within the context of daily case management, which involves strategizing mechanism for the expedient handling of human trafficking cases and incorporating prioritization protocols and routine case management procedures. So how we are going to do that? It is like we need to have specialized teams, efficient protocols, professional trainings, advanced tracking systems, inter-agency collaboration, which we today have this in August Hall, calendar management, securing witness testimonies. These are all the part of the things which you are doing every day. Curbing adjournments and setting judicial expectations. So the officials from various NGOs, please don't think this is all what is happening in the court, because your contribution is much solicited in the day-to-day trial. So please participate in it. We need to have a multifaceted approach to enhance case management in the complex domain. So to start with that, I have a bottleneck. I have a handout 2 which deals with the bottlenecks. Let's see, these are the bottlenecks, in list of bottlenecks in expeditious disposal of cases, which I think everybody amongst us comes across. Pendency of bails in one forum, delay in framing of charges, so that is a big hurdle. Prolonged recording of testimonies, long list of witnesses we have and how we have to do that and that. Heavily loaded courts like we discussed right now, frequent adjournments, communication with stakeholders like lawyers, prosecution, staff, judges, and then comes last of all impact of media. That really comes silent pressure it creates in your mind. So this is all we are going to do it now. This is like prioritization and disposal of human trafficking cases. Now, how to do it? We need to have specialized teams and task forces. Like we have this police officer from anti-human trafficking wing. She is a specialized one. Likewise, we need to have specialized police officers. We need to have specialized prosecution, specialized judges for this, who can once learn, who can deal with such like cases. Because anybody when got into this domain may not be able to perform unless and until you are a trained judge or trained prosecutor or trained police officer to deal with such cases. We need to have specialized teams and task forces. Their establishment is required. Their training and expertise, and of course NGOs, they need to have such very sensitive members amongst them who can deal with just like man said, very traumatized victim. Everybody cannot deal with a traumatized victim. Like we saw a police officer with that dress and police uniform and with a very callous attitude. When she'll talk to that traumatized victim, will she be able to say something? Will she be able to come up with something? No. We need to have a very trained person, trained officer. Likewise, trained police officer also. Lady police, another police officer, trained prosecutors. When you go for briefing a witness and you do it like, क्या हुआ था बताओ, तुम्हारे साथ क्या हुआ, तुम्हारे बयान में तो ये लिखा है, तुम यहाँ क्या बोल रही हो. So in your local dialect, if you say like that, तो उस बच्चे का faith तो खत्म हो जाता है, उसका भरोसा खत्म हो जाता है, उसका वो कॉन्फिडेंस खत्म हो जाता है कि मैं किस कॉन्फिडेंस से बोलूं. Very recently, I mean, I'm just out of the place, I'm saying, 2 months ago, I just came across, though we don't have that victim-centered court because it's a peripheral area. So in my chamber, I was just about to start recording a witness, and nobody was there, even prosecutor was yet to come. I just asked what happened, and she told me everything. She was major. She told me everything. Ye hua, and she started sobbing and crying. I said, don't worry. I just offered her a glass of water, and I said, you want to have juice or tea? Nothing. So I said, you just depose and rest, leave it on us. We'll try to do the justice. And you won't imagine, within 5 minutes, prosecutor came, this clerk came and recording statement. मैं इसको जानती ही नहीं तो मेरे साथ कुछ हुआ ही नहीं, पता नहीं पुलिस ने क्या केस बनाया. This is just 2 months ago. So in such like situations, we cannot be expected to do wonders. That is the situation out of the box, and we can't deal with it. So, but what I mean to say is, we need to be very sensitive to the victims from the threshold, because once they have developed a confidence for the system from grassroots level to the higher level, they'll say, okay, we are secure. They have rehabilitation schemes also, they have compensations also, like the ma'am has unveiled in detail. So they will be very confident. Collaboration with law enforcement agencies, like all the agencies are here. So I think this courts come very late in the picture, but NGOs and police officers and prosecutors, they can definitely collaborate with each other. Like if some lacuna is there, at least police officer can educate. And if something again is late, then prosecutor can educate the police officer, okay, this is a missing link, just rectify before you come to the court, so that accused doesn't go scot-free. So this is all what is going to be the need of the hour, to curb with this menace. We all can only work when we all are together. Not like if you do your duty and I don't do. If I do my duty and you don't do, then what is there? Accused will go scot-free. So nobody will come up with the problems. Efficient case management protocols. Like we need to have guidelines and procedures. Like we have victim-centric rules we have now. Like these are the guidelines to conduct the more and more workshop vis-a-vis human trafficking, vis-a-vis POXO, vis-a-vis like drugs and all that. Whatever is a burning problem, we need to have a proper guidelines for them, for procedures for them. And when the thing comes to us as a judge, what is for us is the best time management which we have to try to learn. I don't say that we are not doing, everybody is doing, even young judges are doing, but you need to have time management for each and every step. And time management is not only that as a judicial magistrate, how much time a case has taken in your court, maybe 3 years. Oh, case is free now, it is over, I am so capable that I have disposed of this case in 3 years. No, when it comes to the session court, it will take 4 years, 3 plus 4, 7 years. Then it goes to the High Court, another 4-5 years. So it is the total time taken in the judicial system which has to be reduced. I know it may not be very possible for us to do it so soon and so easily, because it is better said than done, because when I join a court, it already has 2000 cases pending. Even when my successor will come, he will say, oh, itne cases hain, isne kya kiya? So we cannot do anything because we have many multifaceted roles to play. So we have, this is a time management is the basic crux are our working, which is going to do wonders. How much time is taken at the disposition case, or it is equally urgent need to shorten the average life cycle of all these cases which is taken from this magistrate to the High Court, Honorable High Court. If it is taken 15-20 years, I just saw, the last day I just saw an order passed by High Court, Honorable High Court. An application was disposed of after 10 years. A complaint was dismissed in default by the magistrate, and a matter was taken up before Honorable High Court in revision. At that time it was an old matter. So it was decided after 10 years in just a one para judgment. So see, so it is not the system, it is not for the Honorable High Court, it is basically it is the pendency. which is not allowing us to work. Each one has to perform our duties. So all we have to do collectively, let's start from today so that for the times to come, we can try to mitigate the things. Now coming from, coming to this training for legal professionals. We have these NGOs, we have this legal services authorities. Starting from under the patronage of NALSA, we have SALSA and respective districts. We are all heading our legal services. We have judicial magistrates who are also chairman of the taluka services authorities. So awareness can be, we can try make an effort to spread the awareness with the help of these NGOs of the respective areas. We have PLVs, paralegal volunteers, who need to be educated. Like if you go from each judge of us, goes from this place, you need to educate your PLVs, and they need to educate the area around which is allotted to them. Okay, if ever you come across such like a problem, you have an idea if it is happening in such part of the city or in village, you please come and report. I will take care. I will take you to the proper authorities. So this is all like training for legal professionals. Judicial education and training of various stakeholders like it is being done today. It's an effort towards that. The overall functioning of a court depends heavily on the interplay between the judges and the administrative staff. So it is very important for all of us to set up a system capable of building a shared responsibility between the head of the court and the court administrator for overall case management. Don't undermine the power of your staff. So we'll come to that later on. Advanced case tracking systems. We all courts in the country, they are now equipped with the technological infrastructure. We all have, our progress is being monitored every day. We can do it at our respective ends also. Data analysis we have for bottleneck identification. Like I just spoke about few bottlenecks which I could find out. So if ever we come across, we have to discuss and we have to see how it is to be taken care of. So this was all about what I had with prioritization and disposal of human trafficking cases. Now how to do that, we'll come to that. A small exercise for you. Can you, anyone among us, to share one tip for effective case management in human trafficking cases? Please. Ma'am, from NGOs also, please come up. आप कैसे हमारी हेल्प कर सकते हैं इस प्रॉब्लम से डील करने में? Even police officers too, prosecution and judges too. Please, senior judges, anything you have in mind which will help me? आपकी कोर्ट में बहुत केसेस हैं. You have multiple nature of cases in your courtroom. So how will you prioritize? Effective case management कैसे करोगे आप इस human trafficking के केस में? कैसे justify करोगे? At the most, if you have cases of 2,000 cases in your courtroom, in your court, and you have 2 cases of human trafficking, how will you justify? Just share one tip with me. Firstly, I would like to hear from you, and then we'll proceed ahead. Very short dates. Then next, say something.
About special days.
Yes, that's really great. You can fix particular date or a day for that. Then next. In human trafficking cases, yes. You can manage your calendar that way that these 2 or 3 days, depending upon the pendency of HT cases in your courtroom, you can fix that 2-3 days in a month or whatever, once in a fortnight or twice in a month, whatever you can do. You can dedicate those days to the human trafficking cases. But that way you will be able to justify these cases, and then prosecution will have to play the role of getting more and more witnesses, and there will not going to be any leniency vis-a-vis that, because the whole day is for one case and you have not been able to bring that witness, so whole day is gone. So your other cases are suffering. So judge and prosecutor has to plan accordingly. That let Mr. Prosecutor, I have tried to do this, any suggestion from you, we will do like this, and you are bringing the witnesses in this session, I have faced like this 1, 2, 3, 4 and all that. So any more tip if anybody is having? So it means I have done the full homework, or you are not able to assimilate what I am saying, or there is. Thank you so much. Now coming to this calendar management, this was what we were just discussing. It is, we will be doing that. How we will be prioritizing this effective case management by doing the efficient calendar management. Honorable Apex Court in a case in RE to issue certain guidelines regarding inadequacies and deficiencies versus the state of Andhra Pradesh in 2021 has held that the courts in all criminal trials should at the beginning of trial, that is after summoning of the accused and framing of charges, hold a preliminary case management hearing. The court should consider the total number of witnesses and classify them as eyewitnesses, material witnesses, formal witnesses, and expert witnesses. I think this judgment is going to help us a lot, because preliminary case management cannot be done by me as a judge alone. I have to take into confidence my prosecutor, my prosecuting officer also, my advocate also, one who is dealing with that case, and the staff also, expert staff also. So after that such type of a case comes to my court, my first effort should be to bring all the stakeholders on a table and say we have this case and our target is to dispose of this case as soon as possible. So how we are going to do that? We are going to do, okay ma'am, do it like this, we'll have 2 hearings per month or 3 hearings per month, okay. And you will ensure the attendance of all the witnesses in a phased manner, in the way session is being fixed. So that way, following this judgment of the Apex Court, Honorable Apex Court, I think we will be able to justify the things and we will be able to perform a little bit, contribute little bit to this field also. Now coming to this another aspect of calendar management is like preliminary case management hearing we have just spoken about. Scheduled hearing at various stages. What are the various stages of the case? Like if you have a bail, you have bail proceedings before the magistrate. If a judicial magistrate has a bail, what will you do? Till the time it is made a special offence, the case is coming to you, and bail applications comes to you, what will you do? Irrespective of granting or denying, that is your personal prerogative. You are all freshers?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What should be your contribution to this thing? Come up.
Take it up in priority.
Pardon?
Take it up for hearing in priority.
Yes. And you have to dispose it off. Do it this way. You just said you had participated as attended, huh? So you have to do that. You have to dispose it off. बेल देनी है तो दे दो, नहीं देनी है तो मत दो, बट इसको डिस्पोज करो ताकि even accused has a right, so that he comes to the higher forum. Now he comes to me in session court. Then what should I do? Same way, I have to dispose it off so that he goes to another forum, Honorable High Court and then Honorable Apex Court. Whatever happens, what is going to be the fate of the bail application, that is not being discussed here. So this is going to be our effort, our contribution to this site. Specialized court sessions, which we just did that fixing a particular day or particular time, we have to do that for such cases. That's going to come help us. Now, use of technology for virtual testimonies. I'm sure you all must be doing that. We in J&K, we are doing we are examining all the witnesses, experts at least, we are examining on virtual mode, even doctors, FSL experts, even whoever is not able to attend to the court. So that doesn't give any explanation to the prosecution that we are not able to, he couldn't come, he was busy, something, doctor is busy, doctor की वहाँ duty है, okay duty है तो even doctor doesn't have a reason, मैं नहीं आ सकता, you have to be there. FSL, like in our state, in our UT, we hardly have one expert, FSL expert, 1 or 2, that too in Srinagar. So in a cases which in Jammu, Srinagar is 300 kilometers far away. So it is not possible, we are having 10 districts in Jammu province. So it is not possible for that single expert to come and attend every respective date. फिर तो वो पूरा महीना घूमता ही रहेगा पूरी यूटी में, तो वो अपना काम कब करेगा? So we are all doing it, we are recording the testimonies virtually. So that, I think that has helped. That has really helped us expediting the cases now. As we all know, nothing new about it. Honorable Apex Court in state of UP versus Shambhunath has observed that witness is a guest of court and should not be sent back without examination. So these things have been taken care in these new laws also. We'll come to that later on. So any witness who comes to your court should not go unrecorded without any reason being recorded there to what was a plausible reason. So you have to record that reason, and if a witness who is present in the court is being recorded in each and every date, so I think that's going to help us a great deal. In this case only, human trafficking. Otherwise तो NDPS के अगर 200 केस हैं तो 4 गवाह रोज आएंगे तो वो कुछ नहीं होगा ना, 4 ही हो सकते हैं, बाकी के 196 केसेस तो रह गए. So we are discussing here vis-a-vis human trafficking cases. So immediate victim witness protection. Our staff should be equipped and under a direction to issue the prompt court summons. We should not wait for the prosecution agency to bring the witnesses on their own unless they are kind enough to get them. Most of the times prosecution gets the witnesses on their own, except for the this expert witnesses which we issue notices, and or at times prosecution requests us कि मैडम इस गवाह का नोटिस निकाल दीजिए because इसको हम ला नहीं पा रहे हैं. But I think the court's effort should be to issue notice to everyone. Victim, then coming to this scheduled statement recording, like fixed calendars for testimonies, like we are fixing a session for the cases. So if that session is exhausted, it means half job done. Schedule of recording witnesses should be fixed by giving consecutive details. The court should try to persuade the parties to admit or drop the formal witnesses. Like if you think, court thinks that case is going towards acquittal and there is a lot of witnesses recorded, witnesses shown in the list. So court should take an effort to go out of the box to say, okay, these are not required. Rather, we should expect prosecution also to say these are not, we are just giving up these witnesses, but it is seldom done because they are also answerable to the things. But I think courts should take the effort कि this is not required, or if a similar witness of a similar nature, 4 witnesses are there and 2 have gone in favor of prosecution, there is no need to go for remaining 2. If Caesar memo of clothes, 4 witnesses are there and 2 have supported in favor of prosecution, then what is the fun of going for another 2? So I think I am able to make myself explanatory. If anybody has anything in addition to that, please come up with the things. The witnesses, there certainly at times there are some witnesses just examination or non-examination, they don't affect to the court, to the case in particular. So court should say, okay, this is not required, this is not relevant, so leave it. So that is also going to this shortening the list of the witnesses. Now, We have efficient docket management. We have just said that the witness is the guest of the court. Now we are prioritizing formal and expert witnesses. Why to prioritize formal and expert witness? Can you say something? फॉर्मल विटनेस हो गया ना, जैसे एफएसएल एक्सपर्ट होता है, डॉक्टर होता है. आप बताओगे कुछ, नए बच्चे बताएंगे?
I feel that is because they have to be frequently called to the court
Yeah.
for different cases. So they should be, and also they have. So that might be the one, that can be the one reason why we should prioritize them. And secondly, also they have their professional duty to be done. So I think.
So anybody from prosecution? They must say, because it pertains to you. फॉर्मल विटनेसेस को बुलाना हमें क्यों प्रायोरिटाइज करना है? कहा? ऐसे ही कोई रैंडम गेस लगा लीजिए. आपके डिस्ट्रिक्ट में अब नया केस आया है, चलान पेश हो गया, यू हैव फ्रेम्ड द चार्ज ऑल्सो, नाउ कमिंग द विटनेस, रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ द विटनेस. सो विक्टिम भी उधर ही है, विटनेसेस भी लोकल हैं. Only the formal witness is one, doctor is the one who is going to be transferred very soon. So it's not a small state. From one corner to east to south, I don't know exactly the demography, from one place to topography, one place to another place अगर transfer हो गया तो आने में government exchequer is involved, उसका work place पे suffer करेगा. So our priority should be just try this small tip in your day to day working. पहले उसकी statement record करिए. फिर because he is free now, अब वो उसकी ट्रांसफर होती है, हो जाए, जहाँ जाता है प्रमोशन होती है, रिटायर होता है. Once he is retired, फिर you have a reason he is not being traced. We don't even work to the extent कि भाई he, after all he is a pensioner, he is getting pension, he is drawing pension. We have to locate his antecedents. So that's going to be a big deal, big burden on you also. So just adopt this small tip and start recording these formal witnesses from the at the very beginning. So half case is done. और one thing more just came into my mind, like I am dealing with off the record, इस case से pertain नहीं करता है. Motor accident claim tribunal, we are also dealing with the cases, all district judges. So in all injury cases we have to get the testimony of doctors recorded. So एक district में 3-4 ही doctors होते हैं जो पहले रह चुके हैं, those who have been transferred and those who are still working. So we should try to, I am doing that, we should try to formulate a calendar so that if one doctor comes to the court, he records 5 or 6 testimony in 5 or 6 cases. Because आज वो आए, एक केस में इस testimony is being recorded. So he comes, अब कल को फिर उसकी डेट है, same doctor, Mr. Gupta. Then how to call him again? He will come, if the court will issue notice, he has no choice but to come. But see, government exchequer will be involved there, his time will be wasted. So you can do like that. If on one day if he comes to the court, you can get him his testimony, his evidence recorded in 4 or 5 cases. That's really going to help us. So you can also adopt this small tip in you. Like you have magistrates have doctors in cases. If you have, you just compile. Or even if ऐसा नहीं है, okay. Yes, advocates, anybody is having a case who is having this doctor in this case, so get an application for preponing. Get it preponed and get the statement recorded. So that will also help you out. Next is adjournments. Now, before that, I would like to say in our new Bharatiya Nyaya Sakshya Sanhita, BNSS, section 530, it has been made mandatory for recording of evidence by use of electronic communication or audio video electronic means. So since it has become mandatory, our job has become less tedious. So it's an exceptional circumstances when a witness is local and is easily can be made available, then it is okay. But otherwise, you are duty bound to record his or her testimony in a virtual mode. Now, coming to the frivolous adjournments, it's not me who is suffering from that, you are also the equal sufferers. So I would like to get some ideas from you if anybody is having some experience vis-a-vis these adjournments. कोई ऐसा एक केस आपकी कोर्ट में आया हो जो आप यहाँ पे बताना चाहते हैं जजेस, जिसमें एडजर्नमेंट किस ग्राउंड पे मांगी गई? Any idea? Any experience? Or prosecutors can also say. Defense counsel seeks the adjournments.
When we are not ready for the charge, framing of charge,
Yes.
we can ask for adjournment.
Who? Prosecution. Prosecution को क्या करना? You seldom get an application for discharge. Generally, the lawyers say we concede to the discharges.
Sometimes what happens is we are unable to prepare that.
What happened is, in one of the charge sheet has been filed.
Yes.
This is my of my court. One of the charge sheet has been filed, and we both went through the whole charge sheet. Now there is a report of a counselor which says the mental.
Mic please. Mic please.
It's a POXO case, not a human trafficking case. It's a POXO case. So the charge sheet came, we both went through the whole charge sheet. Now in the charge sheet there is a counselor's report which says the admitted age of the child as of now is 11 years. So the counselor, the lone counselor, she's saying that her mental capacity to understand things is only 5 to 6 years. Now we both are in a fix, because then should we go with the lone counselor's report or should we go as per CRPC? So that was the only instance wherein learned PP has some time to take the recourse of the law so that we can frame proper charges.
That is a genuine reason.
So that is what he is sharing.
Okay. But on what grounds these defense counsels they ask for adjournments? Yes?
In my court, it's most frequent reason for adjournment is, frequent reason is that they are busy in district court or in high court.
And this defense is gone from 1st July. You know? This is no more a defense that a lawyer is busy in other court. This is no more a defense. Witness is there, you have to examine it. And if the counsel doesn't want to cross-examine, right is closed. This is very strict. Just go through, we'll just come to that point. So I think court control of adjournments is closely related to achieving event date credibility. It cannot be implemented without the other. Like a judge cannot do it without the cooperation of prosecution or with the defense counsel. So therefore, credible scheduling must be based on a restrictive adjournment policy. But after I attended a session in CAPT Bhopal, so I think this grievance is done now. Judges are at the, we are now equipped. Now lawyers are at receiving ends. It is only through such a policy that court can convey its expectation of readiness to counsel. So now coming to strict adherence of court timelines, like we just discussed about preliminary case management. Like हम सब इकट्ठे बैठे हमने decide किया कि ये case we will be deciding in this much of time frame और इतने time में हमने गवाह कराना है this गवाह, this witness. So these timelines are to be followed strictly. Prosecution, lawyers and court staff, they are very important segments of court with whom we have to collaborate for smooth functioning of the court and timely disposal of the cases. These few lines I'm just trying to read because they will definitely come in our way. Prosecution is always to be taken into confidence for effective witness management and achieving the timelines of the case. Because prosecution की support के बिना, without taking them into confidence and without their help, we cannot do anything. Okay, your right is closed, this thing. We cannot be arrogant and we cannot be headstrong. Judges must be respectful and courteous with lawyers also, so that proceedings are conducted in a civil manner. To maintain the decorum in the court and to maintain the conducive atmosphere in the court, it is commentary upon a judge to be very humble and very courteous to the various stakeholders of the system. Court and case management cannot succeed without the support of the court staff and its registry. Judge must also maintain the decorum of the court and never create tension or confusion in the mind of the court staff. Do this, do that, do that. If the staff is confused, everything is gone. Most of the times we are signing on the papers. just trusting our staff, isn't it, madam? We trust our staff. Every paper, every line, it's humanly not possible for a judge to see and check. So we have to take care of their mental health also. It's rightly said, it is very nice to be important, but it is very important to be nice also. So you have to be nice so that you are able to perform your duties and functions in a day-to-day manner very dignifiedly. So coming now, sanctions for unjustified delays, it has been taken care of in this new laws. I'll just go through that in a random. Section 309 CRPC, which earlier dealt with that adjournments. I think it's not in there. No, it's not there. Section 309 CRPC, which dealt with adjournments. Now we have 346, Section 346 of BNSS. Entire sections are the same about adjournment. The only thing is, no adjournment shall be granted at the request of the party except where the circumstances are beyond the control of that party. Now, discretion is given to a judge to interpret these circumstances which are beyond the control. So, lawyer is busy in that court, ye lawyer aaya nahi hai, these are no more defenses. Where the circumstances are beyond the control of a party, not more than 2 adjournments may be granted by the court after hearing the objections of the other party and for the reasons to be recorded in writing. So now it's again a matter of interpretation that 2 adjournments in the entire trial or at every step, like framing of charge और रिकॉर्डिंग एविडेंस में 2 adjournments ले सकते हो या बहस करने में 2 ले सकते हो या such like of things. But you are judges and as prosecutors you are well equipped now because lawyers cannot come and say कि मुझे नहीं कराना है. Even prosecution भी अब नहीं कह सकता कि मुझे नहीं कराना है. The finding that the fact that the advocate of a party is engaged in another court shall not be a ground for adjournment. It's clearly written in this new provision, section 346 BNSS. We have where a witness is present in the court, but a party or his advocate is not present, or the party or the advocate though present in court is not ready to examine or cross-examine the witness. The court may, if thinks fit, record the statement of the witness and pass such orders as it thinks fit, dispensing with the examination in chief or cross-examination of the witness as the case may be. I hope things are clear now. Even prosecutors also have no choice now because examination in chief can also be dispensed with. Next is, if sufficient evidence has been obtained to raise a suspicion that accused may have committed an offence and it appears likely that further evidence may be obtained by a remand, this is a reasonable cause for, I think no, this is not the terms on which an adjournment or postponement may be granted include in appropriate cases by payment of cost. Now, payment of cost which we used to do seldom, usko kharcha de do. Now it is legalized. It is provided under the provision that you can get the witness to be compensated suitably by the erring party. But one thing, it is clear that we have to be, our orders have to be very speaking and with a reasonable order has to be passed by adjournment has been given because your performance is always being tracked. Now, I just wanted to have some experiences from you that we have done. Now it is okay. Coming to that, setting expectations, the role of judges. All we have discussed today in this session is all about the role of judges. involving the session of Madam Chuki also. That was a part of the role of a judge. How you have to be very sensitized to be towards the traumatized victim. How you have to deal with that victim. Promoting judicial independence, public awareness camps, campaigns we have to make, ethical guidelines for judges, as we all know that judges are bound by certain norms. Media code of conduct. Media is emerging as a big mental block for the efficient working of a judge. So any one amongst two being amongst prosecution and judges who has come across it like situations when your performance was hit by a media trial or something like that. Any case, not HT, any case. मीडिया हाइप बन जाती है केसेस में, एक पब्लिक ओपिनियन बन जाता है. सो एट टाइम्स वी फील दैट नो, मे बी आई एम थिंकिंग समथिंग एल्स, सो मीडिया इज सेइंग प्रोजेक्टिंग समथिंग एल्स, मे बी मैं कुछ गलत कर रही हूँ. आई एम नॉट गोइंग थ्रू द लाइन्स विच मीडिया इज देयर. लाइक वी हैव बीन इन states, we just saw that there is a jury members also. Judge is there and 7 or 8 jury members from different walks of life. But we were being told that by the time the trial is being conducted, all the jury members, they are expected to reside in a particular hotel or something like that, without there being a facility of newspapers, TV, something like that, so that you are not influenced by the media. But maybe it's not possible nowadays because everybody is having smartphones and all that. But certainly efforts are being made there कि आप जो है उसके influence में नहीं आओ. There has to do that. So we have to till the time that rules and regulations are being formulated. I think there is something, if anybody amongst us who has attended the CABT program, media trial के बारे में there is something which I am not able to say something right now. So judicial review and update of case management strategies. Regular review and update of case management strategies, like our performance is being regularly monitored by the Honorable High Court, respective High Courts. But at the same time, we also have to review our performances because we all have the Justice app and our performances are there. इतने cases हैं for effective hearing, इतने हैं arguments for judgments. So that way we can review our performances, we can review performances of our magistrates. So that can give us, always keep on giving us saying kitne cases रह गए, we have to dispose of it, we have to try to overcome this problem, we have to immediately do this and that. So one thing, I will come to this, our NGOs members. NGO members, please say something about anything. कभी आपने ऐसा कोई केस देखा है, कोई ऐसा एक्सपीरियंस आपके पास आया है? मैडम नो, चले लेट्स नॉट टॉक ऑफ HT, ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग की बात नहीं करते, हम बात करते हैं पॉक्सो केस की. कोई पॉक्सो केस आपके पास आया है, कोई विक्टिम आई है कोई रिपोर्ट लेके, आपने कैसे उसको डील करा है? या ऐसे केसेस को करने में आपकी क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन, क्या हेल्प रहे? बैठे आप प्लीज बी सीटेड एंड प्लीज बी सीटेड, बैठ जाइए.
नो मैम, आई प्रेफर स्टैंडिंग मैम. Respected ma'am, respected judges of our state, public prosecutors, my dear friends from NGO.
Yes.
And nothing to do with the cases regarding the law. But the problem that we face,
yes,
Madam Chuki was mentioning in her statement about the rehabilitation part.
Yes.
That is a big question mark for us. I come from an open shelter home, and there are skilled children. They are brought to our home in the middle of the night, and some POXO victims are brought in the middle of the night. So what we do is we give them shelter, we give them food, but what we are not able to give them is the psychological, care, the love. The POXO victims, those who are about to deliver babies,
yes,
they are also sent to our home. And the rehabilitation part, there is a big question mark. Because what we have seen is this young girl is about to deliver a baby, and what we see is that we are not able to give any nutrition food or any care. What I feel is when a girl is about to be a mother, the thing that she requires
and
is...
that to a minor girl who is going to deliver a baby, she needs
and ma'am, that rehabilitation part, I don't know, I'm not able to actually put it up in words, but I have this in me. And what I was just thinking is, I think it doesn't matter if I speak.
Yes, you see.
Yeah? But I have to speak. I have to speak. Because this concerns me.
Yes.
This concerns us NGOs,
Yes.
and this concerns this little girl who's been sort of...
Yes.
And and then she gets taken to the hospital, she delivers the baby, the very next moment the baby is taken away somewhere else, and again there is a rehabilitation question mark. This girl who's delivered a baby, she goes back to her home. But what about the rehabilitation? Okay, the money is being given for a thing, but again after a couple of months she goes back to her same lifestyle. She goes back to her same,
environment, and
yes,
where
there's
she
no
was.
rehabilitation. There's no rehabilitation, and we have had few incidences where we have been, or the victim have been tried to reach out by the accused. Why? Because when the child is referred to our center, we have not been totally told about the case. It's just that it has been referred to us from the CWC or wherever. So we are not aware what exactly is the case. We are just told it's a POCSO case, but we don't know who's the accused or the families of the accused. So we are approached by some families saying, can we meet so and so? We get angles, we get corners from where we get calls saying, let them meet. And yes, we have had cases like that.
Get that cases.
Yes. And especially it's the rehabilitation. And when Madam Chakis asked us, has anyone been to the court? And what's the first picture in your head that comes to the court? I've been to the court, but I still have the first picture of the court. I don't want to be in the court.
Yeah, very terrifying. Nobody wants to.
No, I don't.
Even we would not like our dear ones to come to the court ever. We would like them to settle their matters out of the court instead of coming to the court. So otherwise, please have a seat. Otherwise also, like NGOs, what are you doing regarding this public awareness campaigns and all that, creating awareness amongst the people? What are you doing? Anybody amongst you, please? Yes?
Ma'am, can I speak in Hindi?
You can speak in Hindi like
I'm from Anugale. We are working in the Pakyong district. So, हमारा जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है अराउंड 22 years कंप्लीट हुआ. सो हमारा जो मेन फोकस है इंटरवेंशन इन द रूरल एरियाज, स्पेशली द टी गार्डन पेल्स इन द दार्जिलिंग, एंड वी आर आल्सो वर्किंग इन द मंगन एंड ऑल. सो एंटायर 22 years हुआ हमारा जो इंटरवेंशन रहा है जो सोर्स एरियाज में, बिकॉज मैं तो नया हूँ उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में. 2017 I joined. Before that I was associate, that बचपन बचाओ आंदोलन, the कैलाश सत्यार्थी, उनके साथ में around 6-7 years I worked. So एक जो आपने पहले वाले जो presentation में भी था, what I feel 22 years my experience in child protection field में. So rescue का टाइम में what जैसे trafficking की बात कर रहे हैं, why trafficking is happening? Because traffickers are more advanced
than we people are. Yes.
Because we call it's organized crime. They are well organized, but we are not organized actually. Everyone is running their own race. Police अपने हिसाब से.
We are on defending mode.
Yes.
They are more funded. They are more equipped.
Yeah, but I have very example. 2 लड़कियों को हम रेस्क्यू करने गए थे in Himachal.
Yes.
So Himachal, 3 police person and 1 guardian we went. So लगभग कितना 35 hours का जर्नी. We tired. We reached आपका शिमला से फिर we went to the अन्नी में रिकवरी हुई बचियाँ. Then the सबसे बड़ा चैलेंजिंग था जो accused person का. So उनको ट्रांजिट लेना था. So nearest कोर्ट था जैसे रामपुर something. So उस समय the court was closed. So we have one option that was it was recount PO. जो I think is the last of हिमाचल का वो है.
My God.
So we went night court. Yeah, 8:30 we reached there. Night.
These are
It was
practical
winter.
problems.
Yes, it's winter time, and it is मतलब कैसा था ना, when we enter the court, जज ने पुलिस पर्सन को पूछा कि भाई क्या प्रूफ है, यू आर ओरिजिनल पुलिस हो करके. So okay, I was there. So okay, they prove, they submit the documents and all.
Even judge was also justified to some extent.
And ma'am, it's very surprising, when the transit remand के लिए जब apply हुआ था, so first time he write because the police person wrote the ACGM. Then बोला application पढ़ने के बाद बोला कि नहीं, I'm not ACGM, I'm CGM. फिर से लिखो. Then again write. And third time लिखने के बाद बोला आपका handwriting नहीं समझ में आता है, टाइप करके. And दिसंबर का टाइम मैम, it's a recount.
ये आप कौन से साल की बात कर रहे हैं?
2017. Yeah, 17.
Not very
17.
Very unfortunate.
लास्ट में ऐसा हुआ था कि हमारे जितने भी लोग गए थे रेस्क्यू टीम में, बोला कि भाई आप सबके डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट करो एंड अटेस्टेड करके लेके आओ एक गेजेटेड ऑफिसर अराउंड 10:30 नाइट.
Which gazetted officer could have justified your documents?
Then
पूछेगा मुझे क्या मालूम तुम सच्चे हो कि झूठे हो?
Then I have the connection with the previous organization, so I called some organization. I also work with the Child and India Foundation. So there's a High Court public prosecutor was there. So at home I went his home. तो उन्होंने साइन करके दिया. After that जो क्योंकि हम पुलिस ने मांगा था 5-7 डेज का ट्रांजिट रिमांड, सो कोर्ट ने बोला कि हम 7 दिन नहीं देंगे, 3 दिन देंगे.
बोलना था जहाज की टिकट भी दे दो साथ में.
मैम इतना था देंगे. लास्ट में क्या पुलिस को बोला एक रिटर्न लिख के दो कि आप हमारे लड़के को सेफली, मतलब जो एक्यूज पर्सन था इसको आप सेफली जो है वहाँ पे लेके जाओगे. देन आई स्पीक कि जो बच्चियों के साथ जो हुआ है पिछले 3 महीने से, उनके बारे में आप एक शब्द नहीं बोल रहे हो. वी केम फ्रॉम ऑल दैट वे फ्रॉम डिफरेंट स्टेट. इतना ट्रैवल करने के बाद आप जो है एक बार क्या आप बैठिए करके भी नहीं बोल रहे हैं, एंड यू हैव कंसर्न अबाउट द एक्यूज पर्सन. सो देन ही आप कौन हो, व्हाई
These are the practical hassles you are having. You are not having that enough funding for your air travel also, your decent living, your decent आपका सर्वाइवल के लिए, ट्रांजिट के लिए नहीं है फंडिंग. That is when everybody amongst us in this hall is facing within the we are shortfall of funds, we are shortfall of space, we are shortfall of enough human force. So but we have, unfortunately we have to work in this limited resources only, because but your work और जो आपने किया है, that is really that is worth appreciation. Commendable.
After that तो हमने लगा कि नहीं, we have to change. Rescue is not only the मतलब क्या बोलते हैं solution. So मतलब rescue करने जैसी स्थिति नहीं आए. So we start the create awareness.
Yes.
With the parents.
Yes.
With the
बच्चों के साथ
में, parents के साथ में, and we find some कि भाई क्यों ये सब चीजें हो रही है, बच्चे क्यों भाग रहे हैं, घर छोड़ के क्यों भाग रहे हैं. So there are the reasons, some gaps between the parents and child. So we start constantly, not only the बच्चे, sometimes ऐसा होना कि child trafficking हम हमेशा बच्चों को फोकस से, बच्चे लगते हैं कि भाई हमें maybe some concern with the parents.
Yes.
Parents को क्यों नहीं बोलते? So we constantly start working with the parents, like positive parenting we are working.
Yes.
Because I think so previous एक जो presentation में था child friendly environment. Child friendly environment, not only the court, not only the police station, at home. घर पे child friendly जो है environment है या नहीं है. Parents is like a parents, not friends. Because आज की जो जनरेशन की जो बच्चे हैं, they want friends.
But आज के parents जो हैं, even from low middle class to higher middle class, everybody is working और बच्चे घर में छोड़े हैं. So who knows, बच्चे they are in contact with social media, so that is all leading to multiple problems. So really great.
We are doing different level of awareness with the line department also.
Very good.
Schools, community, and other जो stakeholders and local community में उनको. And we also collaborate with the village level child protection committees and also. How can you know?
Which is your NGO name?
The Anu Gyalshing.
Anu?
Anu Gyalshing. Yes. So, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was really, please, he deserves a round of applause. So, thank you. Anybody among his prosecutors who can say कि ये witnesses hostile क्यों हो जाते हैं? जब आप उनको आपके पास आते हैं, you are all prosecutors? This second row? So when witnesses come to you, they are not hostile. But when they enter the courtroom, they are hostile. So I am facing this menace every day, day in and day out.
In prosecution, generally boyfriend and girlfriends are involved.
People?
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah. And in our belt also they say it's a source of livelihood for them. और कोई जरिया आमदनी है नहीं, they have no source of income, so चलो जी इसी से. I mean, it's very unfortunate, and courts are just made a post office. You come and just dump the challan in the court, and judge keeps on trying that, और फिर वो hostile हो जाना and all that. So it's
even husband wife भी आता है.
हाँ, even my case also. They come together. Yes. In my case, one of the girls, she came prosecutrix in my earlier posting. She came for giving statement, and she said कि मेरी तो इससे शादी हुई है, parents ने ज़बरदस्ती करा दी. And parents admitted to that. She said, "Madam, आज मेरी anniversary है, first anniversary." So he was ideally तो हम उनको सामने नहीं लाते हैं. तो he was virtually connected. So I said अब क्या करें यार, अब थोड़ा सा out of the box जाके सोचना पड़ेगा. लाओ मैंने कहा ये लो भाई इसकी वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग करा दो. Let them have interaction now.
One of the victims told us, until and unless we don't show her the accused, either online and she does not speak to him over the phone, she's not going to depose before the court.
Right.
Because he is a boyfriend.
I have one instance just to share it with everybody.
Yes. Mic please. Mic please.
I think I'm loud enough, no? The victim's mother was brought because the parents had filed the complaint, and at the time of identification, so the PP asked, "Do you know this person?" She said, "Hajur, mero joi ho."
Mera?
He's my son-in-law.
My God.
That's the end of the story.
And और भी है कि there was a female जिसने कि क्या किया है मजिस्ट्रेट कोर्ट में सेक्शन 125 मेंटेनेंस और मेरी कोर्ट में 376. तो क्या करोगे? So what will you do? How you will deal with such like situations? I mean, it is the judge who is put on trial. Like if just see, अगर पॉक्सो में she says कि हाँ मेरी मर्जी थी, पॉक्सो में मेरी मर्जी थी, we were in consent with each other, and शादी फिर हमने कर ली, बच्चा भी हो गया, पर केस हो गया, ठीक है, hostile हो गई, but bail भी हो जाएगी. What is going to be the fate of the case? That is the question which needs to be, because one of the conferences where the honorable PM was also there in Delhi. हम में से कोई होगा वहाँ पे, वो डालसा सेक्रेटरीज की थी और डालसा चेयरमैन एंड सेक्रेटरीज की. वहाँ पे भी क्वेश्चन पुट हुआ था, इवन हायर अथॉरिटीज देन अनेबल टू एक्सप्लेन द सिचुएशंस. को करें क्या? अल्टीमेटली इट इज टू बी क्वेश्चन बाय द ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट. सेशन जज क्या कर सकता है? वो तो नहीं करेगा ना, उसको तो कन्विक्ट. So anyway, so let's thank you so much for being so interactive. So let's have a very small activity. I have given a handout 4 fact pattern. Please go through that immediately. थोड़ा सा complicated है, which Madam Chuki had also discussed कि हम करेंगे इसको. Ma'am, would you like to come? This fact pattern. Ma'am will also have her अपना आइडिया इसमें करेंगी मैम कि how इसमें victim compensation and all that. Please go through that. Should I speak? John and his associates, please be attentive. Kareem, Harish and Victor operate a crime syndicate with headquarters in New York. The syndicate floats on online advertisement in India, inviting applications for positions at Voyage and hospitality company, offering an attractive salary. Please go through. Mohan, Abdullah, Sonal and Razia are from Maharashtra. They respond to the advertisement and are hired. Sonal is single parent. सबको मिला है? Sonal, who is a single parent, takes her 14-year-old daughter X with her to Kolkata using fake documents provided by Voyage. Razia also goes to Kolkata. On reaching Kolkata, they meet Kareem, who coerces all three into engaging in pornography, which is recorded and uploaded on the internet. John creates a WhatsApp group where members can access the images on payment through online transfer or cryptocurrency. Razia is forced into prostitution by Harish. When Razia, Sonal and ex attempt to flee, they are threatened and told that their families will be informed about the pornography and the images will be posted on social networking sites and public websites. After 6 months, Sonal shares her ordeal with a lady she befriended in the neighborhood. The lady informs the police and 3 victims are rescued. Now investigation ensues. During raids at 3 apartments in Kolkata, police seizes laptops, hard drives, mobile phones containing WhatsApp chats and videos. They arrest Harish and Kareem, who confess during investigation. Now, investigation says that Mohan was trafficked by a syndicate to Bahrain for forced labor at a construction site supervised by another trafficking organization. Mohan's passport is taken away. Victor trafficked Abdullah to Albania, where he died after a month. The autopsy report ascertained during the investigation indicates that his kidneys and lungs had been removed ante-mortem. Victor is arrested, trying to enter India after 2 days. The arrest of Harish and Kareem. Now, on learning of the arrest, John goes underground. The police raises a red corner notice. 6 months later, John is arrested in New York and held by authorities. Now, charge sheet against all 4 accused is submitted within the statutory period, pending ongoing investigations. After some days, Harish is bailed out and absconds. Prosecution interviews Razia, Sonal and ex. They are all frightened and reluctant to testify at trial. Ex has not spoken for months. Now, Indian authorities learn that the trafficking organization in Bahrain is under investigation, and Mohan has also been released to the custody of his cousin, a guest worker in Bahrain. Mohan is willing to testify at trial but does not want to return to India. So this is all the fact pattern is. Now, if you need some time to go through, and because it is very crisscrossy, so you have to identify 3 case management challenges which you are going to come across. So I'll be asking everyone, even the NGOs also will be saying something. How is this case going to affect, what are the problems in this case which are going to come across and how you are going to handle them? What are the problems which you can anticipate while having such like cases, this prosecution and police?
Multiple problems.
Multiple problems. It will start from the NGOs, then anti-human trafficking wing, then prosecutor and then judges.
Getting John to India is a problem now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to apply what Madam was discussing.
And that,
And Razia, Sonal and ex, they will probably have to be put in this victim protection scheme so that they speak something.
This NGO will have to make that Miss X speak.
They have to be put in that scheme.
Yeah. Because Miss X has not spoken for months together. And you will have to make her to have faith in herself, and you make her comfortable and say, look, you are in safe hands, your interest will be taken care of, you will not get any problem, you will be rehabilitated, such like things.
Mohan can be examined through VC. Mohan can be examined through
Yes,
VC.
yes. Technology can be invoked here, laptop is there. So long, you're going to have a long list of witnesses. Prosecution. Prosecution wale, come up. What problems you are going to have them?
presents the multi-let MLET used to be
Mike, please.
105 of the
And that, yes.
the 105 CRPC has to be exercised in this
Yes.
thing with regard to the securing the presence of the accused persons.
Yes. Judges are going to have long list of witnesses in this case, and this list is going to include multiple nature of witnesses. Eyewitnesses, Mohan has to say something about that while securing his testimony through technology. Then you have this recording, this laptops and so all that digital evidence is going to be there. This case is going to be based on digital evidence. So you have to prioritize the witnesses vis-a-vis different nature of the witnesses jo honge, formal witnesses, eyewitnesses, digital witnesses, how to prioritize them. Then technology should be put into more and more of in use. It has to be used there. Because it is only the technology jiska use karke you are able to justify this case and to get the same to be concluded. Protection of victims, that just now discussed, as the ma'am has already deliberated upon. Unka rehabilitation, unka settlement, that has to be taken care of. And the most important is कि one who is absconded उसको कैसे लाना है. So that has just been said कि हम लैब से हम लाएंगे. So anything else you have in mind?
In this regard, if I may just
Yes, ma'am, anything
mention
else?
something.
Yes.
Madam just said that one of the accused needs to be extradited, no, from another country. So for that now your cell, HT cell is a very important, you play a very important role. And the IO, now one thing you must bear in mind regarding extradition, you have to mention the sections. Now if you miss out HT 370 or whatever, 143 is a new section,
Yes.
in that, he cannot be tried under this section in your court even if it's extradited. So at the time of extradition, you have to mention all the sections involved because he can face trial only for these sections. If you have missed out the section, the judge cannot try him for that
Yes.
crime. So I think you've heard of one of the famous extradition cases is, what is that? Anyways, what happens is if you miss out these sections, then the accused and the defense will take advantage of this. And then they can go scot-free.
Yes.
So that is why HT cell, you have to be very careful, and your IOs have to be very tech savvy in the sense that you must, even if you are not technology tech savvy or you don't have the necessary background in technology, you have to take the aid of your IT cells for investigation, because like Madam said, the bulk of the investigation will involve digital evidence and electronic evidence, and because there are very strict method procedures laid down, I think, for getting electronic evidence, and all the evidence in such cases will be in the dark web. I think some of you will know dark web, it's so difficult to get it out of there. So you have to be very careful, because post-COVID, what happened was human trafficking cases went even deeper underground. As it is, it was difficult, but post-COVID, almost all the activity was online. So it became even more difficult for investigating officers. So that is why the HT cell, now your cell has to be very, very updated in these regards.
Like we have just discussed that since all the stakeholders are here, if anything goes missing on part of the HT wing, then police has to come and see what is there. Then prosecution has to say, okay, this link is missing, you please go accordingly. If once a section when offence is not mentioned in the charge sheet, as rightly said by Madam Chutla, that will go scot-free, he will not be tried in that. So Madam, as you are from HT human trafficking this wing, anything you have ever come across? No?
Till now, I think we've
had only one HT case, that too it was final reported last year.
That was fine, okay.
Yeah, because it was due to dual jeopardy. Because the similar case was registered in Noida also. So that's the reason we closed the case here.
Got that. So we wish and pray that no such cases
Yes,
come
ma'am.
into the
Sure.
fore, but we also have to be concerned of the fact, as has been said by madam, that non-reporting of a case doesn't mean that such cases are not happening, because the figure I have given, it's really alarming, it's an old figure, but the unreported cases, reported cases and prosecution cases, there's a huge disparity. And I'm sure there must be many such cases which go unreported. So here comes the role of our paralegal volunteers, our NGOs, to just say, like Mr. What's your name?
Peace.
Okay. So he has said that they are working on the lines to aware the people about this menace. They are sensitizing the parents. You have to be very compassionate and very friendly with your children, with your kids, so that they don't get swayed away by this technology or for the people around. So it's all going to be a collective effort of all the stakeholders. And once you have done your job, then comes police, and police is done, then comes the prosecution, and ultimately it comes to us. And we cannot do anything until and unless things are on the file. So this was all about our case management, and I really thank you so much for patient hearing, though it was very dry. This is what we are being performing every day in and day out. So we just try to do small tips, adding small tips to our daily lives, daily working is going to do get us amazing results. So with these words, and I complete my session, and I thank all of you for the patient hearing and being interactive. Thank you so much.